Kentucky knocking off Duke last night. That was a surprise since Duke...
Had to get your Kentucky in there, didn't you?
You're saying Duke controlled the entire game, and we saw Cooper Flagg, who was the real deal, while also seeing that he's 17. In the same game, we see that guy is legit and will be a problem. And then he turns the ball over twice in the final 45 seconds and gives up the offensive rebound to essentially end the game. So he is still 17 years old, but come tournament time, I don't think those mistakes are going to happen. So Duke's certainly got some talent. They've got Cooper Flagg, and they've got a Knipple that's playing pretty good basketball too. So they got a Knipple Flag out there. So Duke will be good. But so we got that to talk about as well. 913-912-4810. Obviously, the last 24 hours or so, a lot of discussion around the Royals Stadium and where the next location is going to be. Soren Petro yesterday talking a decent portion about that in the abbreviated show that he had before KU pregame in that Michigan State contest. And then this morning, Stephen St. John with a full show with a New Day, essentially talking about the latest development in this ongoing saga coming up on 5 years of Royals Stadium talk, because downtown was discussed when John Sherman and his group bought the team, and it is still being discussed, only now we have so many different twists and turns that have taken place. It seemed so simplistic and easy that the ownership group took over and they were moving to the East Village. There it was. You know, you've got the connections with some in the ownership group and the land there. It's going to be easy peasy, all good, all day, all done. Sold to the East Village.
And then M. Night Shyamalan got involved.
No doubt, no doubt. And we've seen dead location sites the entire time, you know. Oh my gosh, East Village was dead the whole time?
And now
we had no idea.
And now it's like split. There are 23 options.
Dude, my reaction to this whole thing is there is so much fatigue that has taken place over the last 2 years, especially from January of 2022 to then April of 24 when the vote took place. And since then, for all of the different sites and locations and conversations and campaigns and money that was spent and adversaries on the other side spending money for the no vote, and then for it to be resoundingly rejected by, I mean, it's almost a supermajority, 60%. I mean, it's like 58-42 that thing got turned down. And anytime you have an election and you lose, there are lessons to be learned. The question is, do you know what the lessons are? Can you fix those? Because a lot of times you see an election that's lost and it's like, well, here's the lesson. And that may not have actually been the lesson. But you're trying to learn that lesson and fix that when that wasn't actually the case. Do the Royals and the Chiefs figure out what the lesson was in that vote, as resounding of a rejection of that plan was? I would say one of the things that the Royals have learned, because we reached out to them a few months ago before, football season started. I know the program has. I know a New Day has. And they have said no to John Sherman coming on all the shows. That is certainly a lesson, because they were talking a lot. They were talking every other month. Well, here's the new deadline. Well, here's the new deadline. Well, we're going to have something done by this. Well, we're going to go on our talking tour, and we're going to do these town halls. We're just going to talk about it, and we're going to do all these. And I think the lesson that they have learned is maybe don't talk as much. Maybe get things done behind the scenes, and even if they request to have you on, politely say no. And we'll talk down the line, and maybe we release stuff to different people as to what's going on, but we're not the ones saying it. We have no comment. On the record, we have no comment. Off the record, maybe, and I don't know what how the reporting is taking place, but off the record, here's what we think. On the record, Royals have no comment on this, and we're not making John Sherman available to talk about these things because we have no idea where this thing's going to go, and we're still trying to figure things out.
Well, because they realized they didn't have a completely full plan last time. They realized there were so many moving parts, and it wasn't completely a finished idea. They had the concepts of a plan. And
well, doesn't it feel like white noise at this point? Like, we hear Sprint Campus. Like,
yes.
I hear that, and it just becomes white noise. December of 2022, the Royals announced the downtown locations. Do you guys know how many? I had to go back and look because it's still a number that shocks me. When they announced the downtown locations that they were looking at, do you know the number that was there? The original plan, when they released the photo of downtown and had the little, shaded in blue circles of where the locations potentially could be for a Royals stadium. Downtown.
Downtown only, not
downtown only.
Not North KC.
Nope, North Kansas City, because North Kansas City didn't come in until
they had
later on.
They have 3 options.
You're going with 3, Jack?
I think it was it 4?
Dylan?
I'm going to go with Jack's 4. I feel like Jack would be closer to
You guys are close. There was a 4 involved. They released 14 site locations
wow.
in December of 22, possible site locations, 14 of them in December of 2022. Then they landed on East Village, which is what most everybody said. It's going to be the East Village. Who cares about all of these other ones? Okay. Then it was 18th and Vine that was competing with the East Village.
I remember those 2, and that's why
those were the main
3,
2.
I remember those 2, and I thought there was probably
but that
one
took
more.
place in 2023. But December 2022, they're like, hey, by the way, we're not just looking at one thing. We didn't buy the team to move to East Village, everybody. We've got 14 different possible locations. And then 18th and Vine came. And then North Kansas City all of a sudden was being discussed. And in August of 2023, John Sherman and the Royals let it be known publicly, announcing the 2 finalists are East Village and North Kansas City. And they are going to choose by the end of September. And that deadline came and went, and it got into December. And then on February 13th, they announced, actually, we're going to the Crossroads. We're going to take over this Kansas City Star building, and we're going to be next to Power and Light. We're going to, top off the loop, and it's all going to be beautiful with greenery and shrubs and all these different walking trails and stuff. It's going to be absolutely great. That was February 13th. And then March 27th, mind you, it's an early April vote. March 27th is when they redid the plans because then they needed a street to be opened. So then it was like, well, vote yes, and we'll get to how the logistics are going to go. Also, we don't really have a deal set up with the Crossroads businesses that we're going to have to relocate and tear down. Also, Mayor Lucas has not backed this plan yet. That was right before the vote. So they went from 14 site locations to then the East Village and 18th and Vine to then North Kansas City and East Village were the finalists to then neither of those even being the one that was on the ballot.
Yeah.
And the one that was on the ballot changed 10 days before people went to vote for that thing.
There's a lot to learn from that.
And then since then, we've heard, well, now the West Bottoms. Cool location, Kansas and Missouri. You can hit a home run into Missouri. You can swing and connect in Kansas, and the ball can land in Missouri.
That's the most Josh Gibson thing of all time.
Amazing.
Where he hit it into another state.
It's very cool. That was in June of this year. Then in August, we hear Washington Square Park, which is Main Street and Grand north of Pershing, right next to Union Station, Crown Center, connecting those things. Then the Meridian site, 435 in Antioch. And now Sprint Campus, 119th and Knoll and Greenwood. It becomes white noise.
Yeah.
Because of so many different places that people have talked about. And yeah, there are the pros and cons for all of these different things.
I'll give you a con for Brook Ridge's location right now. I'm going to drag my feet so hard.
Is that where you're a member?
They're going to have to buy my membership out. I know that's not how it works.
You're going to settle for $1 million. They can't build the stadium because one member is holding out right now. Sterling Holmes refuses to take the buyout with his Brook Ridge membership.
They would not give us I could almost guarantee they would not give any of the members.
He has chained himself to hole 12, and he refuses.
Well, hole 12's on the other side. They'd be like, we don't care about hole 12.
Which is the one with the tree?
Hole 5.
He has changed himself to the tree on hole 5.
Oh, the water level's going up on Tomahawk. Someone get him down.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many pros and cons to all of these different things and issues that are there, but that's what I feel the most around the city, and especially right now. there's clearly political fatigue with what we went through the last 6 months or so, and the last month of every single commercial being the same thing. And now it's done, and now it's like, okay, well, now we have a different site location that is, quote, the new leader. Because this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be the 7th new leader for the site location for the Royals. And somehow this is the one that sticks. You know, it's like your seventh marriage. Kind of feel like that's going to end in divorce. Something tells me that may not be the leader right now.
But this could be the one, Jason.
It could be. You never know. It could be the one. It really could be the one. You know, those previous 6 were not the one.
You learned a lot about yourself the previous
100%.
6. You learned a
100%.
lot.
But that's the main feeling I have with all this. Like, we can get into the details. We can, you know, break down all of the different pros and cons of this. But it just feels like, from the sense I get, is I don't care what you're saying in which place. Tell me what you decide. Tell me where it is, and I will then give you my opinion one way or another. I'll either vote for it, yes or no, or I won't have a choice because it's in Kansas and it'll be the Star Bonds. I'll either go or not go. Like, that's the sense that I get right now.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's different now is that the Royals are coming off a good season, and
That's a
John
good
Sherman's
point.
not talking a lot about it, which I think those are two positive things. Not that it influenced a lot of people about the state of the team, because the move wouldn't have happened for a few years, but now when people think about the Royals, you think in a more positive light. You've got a superstar on your team. They just had a postseason series. I remember talking to a few people at one of the playoff games of how cool would this be if it was a downtown stadium, right? Just a few people, not everybody. But when you
And there are a bunch of other people that were saying how cool this is that it's still in Kaufman.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, it's clearly there was a 58% vote no, so.
Absolutely. But I just think that, you know, when it comes to these new locations, I'm done giving them really any thought until it's just right in front of you and it's, this is where we are going, vote yes, vote no. I can't get into these hypotheticals or what could be, because to me, to tie it back into sports a little bit, it's like when you talk about a potential free agent or a potential trade. Well, that would be really nice, wouldn't it be? That'd be really cool. I don't know if it's going to happen. There's no rumors to it. There's no smoke to it. It's kind of a bottomless thing to talk about. So I have that fatigue, mainly because of all of these new leaders, all of these new locations. If you find one that looks great and everybody agrees with it, and that's going to be the stadium, then I'll give more investment into it. But to me, when I heard Sprint Campus, I said, well, that's just another one. It's just another location to it. But until it gets a few more steps down the road, I'm just not really going to put that much into it.
I mean, also, I'm just, some of these locations, I think there's so many hard aspects. Like, do you think a whole bunch of people in Leawood are going to be thrilled that you're moving a stadium to Leawood? Like,
They're gonna get tons of pushback at Sprint
you're
Campus.
going to get so much pushback there.
You wouldn't have to vote. You wouldn't have to go to a vote.
I know, and
So
I know,
Star
I know
Bonds,
it's
so
no
that's-
vote, but are you you're trying to bring the stadium to a lot of your clientele, like season ticket holders and stuff. That's fine. Do they want it there? I think Brookridge is going to have a whole bunch of Antioch and 435s.
Infrastructure is going to have to be massively redone.
Well,
there,
that's
'cause
what I'm
that's already
saying.
kind of a confusing, entrance, exit, connection to 435 as it is over
So
there.
I'm just sitting here going, these seem so much more difficult than some of the previous locations. And again, Sherman kept saying he wants a downtown stadium. I don't all of a sudden understand this move to Kansas to these locations that, again, there is land. If you can build an 18-hole golf course, you have land. Have you seen the T-Mobile Sprint Campus? There is land. I just don't see the realistic possibility of it happening.
I mean, there's land at Kauffman Stadium right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm in agreement
Yes.
with what you're saying, and my pushback on the Sprint Campus location is twofold. If it happens, it happens. I'll drive there and go to the game.
Oh, I'll be thrilled because it's
Yeah.
close to me.
Right.
I'll Uber.
Yeah, I'll go to put it
walk.
somewhere, put it in the Kansas City metro area, and I'll go. I'll drive to where it is. If it's in North Kansas City, I'll go. If it's 435 and I-70 out in the Dot, I'll go. If it's at Kaufman where it's located right now, I'll go. Like West Bottoms, I'll go wherever it is. My pushback is sort of twofold, and one is a personal opinion in the fact that my preference is Washington Square Park. I think that has been the coolest proposal. I think the two coolest proposals to me have been Washington Square Park and North Kansas City. Crossroads I was okay with because it's like, well, it's downtown. That's what's on the ballot. If that's what we're doing, let's do it. Okay? It was cool to see the connection there from Power and Light to where the walking you top off the 635 and that looked really cool, and connecting the stadium with the T-Mobile.
It's great for the
with Power
younger
and
crowd.
Light.
A lot of fun for the younger crowd.
Yeah, it looked really cool there. But one, I prefer Washington Square Park because that is, when I think of Kansas City, I don't really think of Power and Light. And when I think of downtown Kansas City, I think of the skyline. You think of Union Station, Crown Center's there, Liberty Memorial, World War I Museum. Like, you incorporate all of those things with Washington Square Park. So that's one. And you do have the downtown skyline there in left field with Washington Square Park. And the other part with Sprint Campus that I sort of would prefer Washington Square Park is that the whole jumping off point was to move downtown. Like, that's the entire point of this, was not to just remain in a different suburb. It's like, well, yeah, look what Atlanta did. Okay. Cool, that's Atlanta. But isn't the point to go to a place to where you have the more people that are sort of the businesses, you're connected to the entire city, as opposed to now you've got the Northland saying, I ain't driving to 119th. I live at 135th. My friends that live up north think I live in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They're like, is the dirt orange? Is it red? Like,
It's red dirt, actually.
is it red dirt where you are? Like, I'm not sure, but we would come out there, but you're at 135th. I ain't driving that far south, right? Whereas, you go to downtown, you've been to T-Mobile, you've been to Crown Center and Union Station, like some of those things. But the whole point of this was downtown ballpark. One of my main things that I was interested in was not only downtown, but a ballpark district that the Royals talked about, like Atlanta or the Rangers, in which that revenue that they have said, which if it's passed will be up to those of us in the media to hold their feet to the fire, that revenue would then be put back into the ball club, and that's what the ballpark district would be, and that's why they're investing the $1 billion in the ballpark district. Well, where does the district go at the Sprint campus? Is there a district? And is it a district that draws people there? Also, if it's a district that draws people there, are you just taking commerce away from other areas?
Town Center Park
Right.
Place. You
Right,
just build an Andy's and a Chick-fil-A. You're already building over there.
Whereas, 435 and I-70, if that's where the Chief Stadium goes or wherever, you've just got grass and land out there and nothing. You could actually create development and businesses.
Which the hard part is they've had that ability. Again, this is a previous
Agreed.
regime. They've had the ability since
But that's already
1969.
But that area's already shown that if you build it, they will come. That it will continue to expand at 435 and I-70 over on the Kansas side. That's already shown that you got the racetrack, you got sporting, you got all of the things that continue to build and build. Now you put Arrowhead out there, it'll continue to build, or Kaufman, whatever. I have my questions about this because anybody that's been on 119th and Knoll or Glenwood or around there, like, you know how many stoplights it takes to get from 119th to 435?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you got Metcalf, you got different places that you can exit, but then you got side roads and residential roads that people are going to be cutting through and trying to park and just to get and then you're late for the game, so now you're screaming down a residential. Like, I think there's some issues with that. And Washington Square Park, to me, like, you've got tons of parking garages around. The only thing that you have to tear down is a building that is being vacated right now by Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They're moving out of that building as it is, so that's the only building you're tearing down. You're connected to the streetcar, so now you've opened up tens of thousands of other parking, spots to then park and then jump on the streetcar. You can exit Washington Square Park every direction, northeast, southwest, to get to a highway or an exit or to get away from the stadium. And you boost Crown Center. You then showcase, for lack of a better term, Union Station.
Sure.
If the skyline's in left field, the Liberty Memorial behind, home plate, there's cool scenery that feels way more like, wow, this downtown stadium sort of fits. It just feels like moving it from one not even feels like it is, moving it from one suburb to another to go to Sprint Campus. And I don't think it's as easy as, well, you just take out all those buildings at Sprint Campus. Okay. Yeah, that's not as easy as
I
one building.
would at least, if that does happen, I would like to see all the dynamite. I would like to see the construction of a lot of things being blown up. That would be kind of fun to watch.
But again, it's twofold. If it happens, then I'll go to the games at Sprint Campus. Then I'll be there going to the games as long as it's in Kansas City. And they don't have to go to vote.
Yeah.
Because it'd be star bonds. That's an issue. That's a positive with them. Although Mayor Lucas has said that with the Washington Square Park location, that their plan is to present a package of incentives that would bypass Jackson County's 3/8 cent tax to where it doesn't have to go to a vote, that just the incentives that they already have within the Kansas City government, city, and the help from Missouri, which, Governor-elect Kehoe is very much in favor of keeping
Why
the
didn't
Chiefs
they do
and
that
Royals.
the first time?
Because it was a county-owned stadium, and the Chiefs were renovating, and they wanted a county-owned stadium and all of that stuff, and you got Frank White and everything, and I don't think they expected that much pushback from Frank White. I think they kind of expected everybody just to get on board. Hey, we're staying, we're moving downtown. This is great for everybody. Why is anybody saying no to this? And that's a lesson learned, is that, well, clearly the county is not really on board. Maybe the county at large of those in charge, except for Frank White, but also the presentation that was put on the ballot, clearly the county was not in favor of by a 58-42 vote.
Yeah.
They were not in favor of that. If you get the help from Missouri, which again, Governor-elect Kehoe was one of the 3 candidates during the primary, was the only of the 3 that said, we will keep the Royals and Chiefs. That is a priority. The other 2 were like, bleep them. No, we got so many other things to worry about. So Mike Kehoe winning is good for the Chiefs and the Royals to stay in Kansas City, is good for the Royals to get funding from the state. And if Mayor Lucas can find a way to package incentives so you don't have to extend the 3/8 cent tax. He also has to figure out the fact that when you eliminate a park, that is a public vote as well. So to eliminate Washington Square Park specifically, you have to go to a public vote. Unless they then find a creative way to incorporate the stadium into the park, quote, so that technically you are not eliminating it, you are just changing it in certain ways, but the park remains. Then, I mean, there are creative ways to do a lot of different things, but if they can find a way to not have this go to a public vote, then the Star Bonds advantage is eliminated at Sprint, and you have a downtown stadium. We'll see. It's fatigue. I mean, December 2022, they announced 14 site locations downtown.
I just want to know where I'm going to be sitting my ass to watch baseball. That's all I want. Just let me know where I can crack open a cold beer and watch the Royals win, hopefully, a ball game.
Well, from Seren yesterday and Steven this morning, it seems like there's an urgency to it, that the thought was January, February, maybe after the Super Bowl. Fingers crossed the Chiefs are there. Maybe March when you're going to announce this thing. Now it feels like, from the things they're hearing, it's mid-December, before the first of the year. Something, and that's why people are like, well, Sprint Campus is now the leader because they got to decide something in the next month. Okay, well, we already had an announcement that the 2 finalists were East Village and North Kansas City. And they weren't the ones that we voted on. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I want to get into some college basketball as KU knocked off Michigan State last night. Bobby Witt makes history last night in winning the Silver Slugger and the college football playoff rankings. K-State number 20, Mizzou number 24. And I'm not sure what the selection committee is telling us other than they all have some sort of an investment in the Big Ten. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, 913-912-4810. Text says, I've seen armadillos south of 135th.
It's pretty good.
Text says, I live north of the river. I'm not driving all the way to Johnson County to see the Royals. That is not true. I just felt like I should say that because of the people moaning about having to drive all the way to North Kansas City. I love that. It's great. See, I like these texts because this is the part to where it feels like there's been so much conversation around it that it gets sort of slap happy, and it's like, it becomes more of a, hey, what are the jokes around this rather than what's the seriousness with that. Text says, I'm guessing no Frank White suites at the new ballpark. I have no idea. Maybe they will. I'm not sure. I think they should keep the statues and everything that are there. Text says, just tuning in. Sorry, can you do a quick stadium recap? Just that Sprint Center is not Sprint Center, but Sprint Campus, old Sprint Campus, 119th and Knoll, and that's Glenwood on what would be the west side of that, is the latest. That would be the new leader, which, to recap, the Royals have had 14 different site locations downtown that they released in December of 2022, and this would be the 7th different leader to move the Royals to. So we'll see. But it seems like right now, if they're going to have some expedited decision soon, it seems like it's decision between Washington Square Park and the Sprint campus. My choice would be Washington Square Park. My first choice is anywhere in the KC Metro. That's my first choice. I've said that when the vote was going on, and I'm not going to back away from that now. Doesn't matter where it goes. Put it somewhere. I'll drive. I'll watch it. I'll watch the Royals play, but we'll see what the latest is. Star Bond certainly would help on the Sprint campus. There would be, in theory, some sort of a vote on the Missouri side, unless, as Mayor Lucas has said, they are trying to come up with a package of city incentives that would bypass the county and not have to vote for a 3/8 cent sales tax extension, which is what got turned down. You would also need money from the state, which they're expected to get. For the Chiefs, moving to Kansas or staying in Missouri, I would think the one drawback to move to Kansas, while the Star Bonds doesn't have to be voted on, the Chiefs' investment would probably have to be doubled. So to stay at Arrowhead and renovate, the Chiefs' investment was about $300 million. To move to Kansas with the Star Bonds, the Chiefs' investment would probably have to be about $800 or $900 million. Or they wanted to do that, now you'd get a dome. They got a dome. You would get the surrounding areas that you could probably invest in real estate. You would get a Super Bowl. They got a dome. You would get a Super Bowl, but you'd have to become liquid to come up with $800 or $900 million. And that's the thing. It's like these billionaires that, a lot of the billionaires that are running these teams, the money is tied up in the team, like the Browns with the Bengals.
They're also billionaires for a reason. They make good deals.
Agreed. Yeah, they're not dumb. They're not dumb. 913.
They might be dumb when it comes to some football decisions, like Jerry Jones or building stadiums by not putting curtains up so you can blind your own teams. But
that's true. Usually they hire someone that knows football. That's the good.
Typically.
The ones that do well.
Typically. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Bobby Witt made history last night. Bobby Witt wins the Silver Slugger Award. This was a trivia question that we had on Thursday during Sports or Leisure. And the trivia question was presented because with the expectation that the shortstop that won the batting title and drove in 100-plus runs would probably win the Silver Slugger Award, in which he did. Salvi won the Silver Slugger Award as well. That was announced last night, which is pretty awesome. So the Royals have 2 different Silver Slugger Awards. They have 2 different Gold Glove winners. November 19th, so that being 6 days from now, so next Tuesday night, we'll find out who the manager of the year is. I think it should be Q.
Yeah.
But we'll find out. The next night, so a week from today, we'll find out who the Cy Young Award winners are. It will not be Lugo, even though he was voted as a finalist.
He's still a finalist, which is pretty cool.
Yep, Cy Young finalist. It'll be Skubal. And then a week from tomorrow is when they announce Aaron Judge as the MVP and Bobby Witt as the runner-up to the MVP that comes up tomorrow. But Bobby Witt made history in winning the Silver Slugger last night in that the only shortstop in Major League Baseball history, the Silver Slugger hasn't been around, but the only shortstop in Major League Baseball history to win a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, and a batting title for their career was Alex Rodriguez. And Bobby Witt did that in 1 year. And somebody replied to my tweet last night and said, well, how many players have done that in 1 year and not won MVP? And the only one that I know of that did it in 1 year, not shortstop, was Mookie Betts, and he won MVP. So for outfield, he won the Gold Glove, he won the batting title, he won a Silver Slugger, and he was named MVP. So I didn't really do much research on those that have won. I just did shortstop research. But I know the year that Mookie Betts won MVP, he was, he won everything that particular year, which would make sense.
So it's Silver Slugger, Gold Glove,
batting title, but no MVP.
The only person I
that'd
could
be Bobby
think
Witt.
of, it might have been
In 1 year.
I know Willie Wilson may have done it.
Did he do it in 1 year?
Willie Wilson was the batting title leader. He was a Silver Slugger. But the Gold Glove happened
see?
the year prior, or 2 years prior.
Yeah, so it's not...
in '82, Willie Wilson would have been cool for Royals.
Yeah.
But Willie Wilson was close.
Yeah, so again, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed an MVP. Mookie Betts was the front runner that entire season, it felt like, and that was going to be obvious that he won the MVP. And this has been Aaron Judge because he's hit so many home runs that he was going to be the MVP. And he's been the front runner. So no matter the awards that Bobby Witt gets, he's already awarded the Royals a draft pick. And he has made history.
Also, fun fact, Willie Wilson almost did it in 1980. He just needed the batting title. The issue was George Brett hit 390.
Well, yeah,
so
that's
it's
the
his
problem.
own
Thanks a lot.
teammate.
Thanks a lot, George. Did we witness the best season for a shortstop?
I think so. I think, without being a prisoner of the moment and trying not to be biased because he's a Royal, I think we did. I think we saw, honestly, in Royals history, the best well-rounded season. I'm no disrespect to George Brett there, but what we saw from Bobby Witt Jr., the only thing he lacked a little bit was probably success rate on stolen bases, and he still stole a lot of bases. But I would be hard-pressed to find another one out there. He literally excelled in every single aspect of the game. So I couldn't find a better season from a shortstop, not even Alex Rodriguez.
That's the one pushback I was going to give was A-Rod. I mean, A-Rod had...
As a specific shortstop.
As a 1 year, his age 20 season in Seattle, he OPS'd 1,045
That was when he batted
358, 36 home runs, 123 RBIs, won the Silver Slugger. So if you're trying to get to a Gold Glove season...
That was steroid era, was Gold Glove.
Yeah, that was 2002, and he hit 57 home runs, 142 RBIs, hit 300.
The odd part is that the batting title and the Silver Slugger was pre-roids. As a 20-year-old, the Gold Glove came when he was roided up. It's like, wait a minute, hold on.
So I mean, that's the one pushback I would give. Then is I would say A-Rod, off the top of my head. I mean, that's pretty. If you're gonna say non-steroid or at least what we all assume.
But combining the Gold Glove with the batting title and the Silver Slugger, like typically you don't get the Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger in the same year. We've seen it happen before. For a shortstop, it's happened 9 or 10 times.
One other season that would be close,
but not the batting title though.
Robin Yount's 1982 season. That was the one where he missed,
but no batting title though.
Well, he missed it by 1 point. That was Willie Wilson who got it in '82.
Yeah, so
but he won the MVP, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger,
but not a batting title.
Not a batting title.
Yeah, take that, Robin Yount. Yeah, I bet he would love to exchange his MVP for a batting title.
And it is funny though. It is fairly close to Bobby Witt's junior season though, as far as just like across the board. Pretty 29 home runs, 114 RBIs.
Yeah. Well, it's like, to be a Gold Glove winner and a Silver Slugger at shortstop, you don't have to be, typically throughout the years historically, you don't have to be an amazing hitter to win the Silver Slugger at shortstop, because oftentimes those were guys who were more light hitting. If you won the Gold Glove, you were probably batting .250, but you vacuumed up everything in the area, and you didn't make errors, and you made great plays, right? That's what the Gold Glove was. And then you get into the era of Miguel Tejada that's not winning a Gold Glove but's going to win a Silver Slugger or a batting title, and so you have more offensive guys, but to combine the defense with the offense and the 100 RBIs and the batting title is not something we've witnessed since A-Rod. And A-Rod had the home runs and the all of that stuff too.
Rogers Hornsby, but he wasn't really playing shortstop predominantly. He was going back and forth. So technicality with Rogers Hornsby.
Mm-hmm. But did he win the Silver Slugger?
They didn't have it. He did win.
Exactly.
He did win the Triple Crown.
Yeah, but he didn't win the Silver Slugger award. That's the point.
I think what's funny about this, too, is if at the beginning of the year you would have listed out all those stats that Bobby Wood Jr. had but said he finished second in MVP voting, I think the answer would have been, well, if he didn't finish first, what did it take to beat him? And I would probably have said, well, probably the best offensive season since Barry Bonds. And that's exactly what Aaron Judge had.
Yeah.
There was only one way that could have beaten out this type of year, and Aaron Judge was able to do that.
Yep. All right, we'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling more zone next.
Hollywood Casino.
Her, get her thoughts on the win for the Chiefs, luck versus earned, and some incongruent numbers offensively for the Chiefs on first and second down and third down, and things that make it feel like it's more boom or bust. The matchup problems that the Chiefs have with Lou Anarumo and Vance Joseph. It just seems like they have, if you want to say kryptonite for a specific offense, then yeah, I could see that. But I don't buy into the Bengals being the Chiefs' kryptonite at large. But, the Chiefs' offense certainly has struggled in the 5 meetings dating back to last year and this year so far with the Broncos and Bengals. We'll do that with Cynthia Freeland, and then we'll hear from the Chiefs coming up an hour from now.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce has done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB on this Wednesday edition of the show. Let's talk some NFL football with our NFL Network analytics expert, Cynthia Freeland, joining us here in the zone. Cynthia, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing just fine. So I want to talk some football with you, but this was a funny question that I got from one of the folks that works here named Drake, and he said, next time you talk to an analytics or a numbers person. I got to know the probability of this, and it has nothing to do with sports. And I said, you know what? I'm going to bring it up to Cynthia just for S's and G's, just to see what she thinks about it. He has dated 4 women in his life. He's now married, but 4 women in his life. His wife and the 3 other women all married a guy named Carl. His name is not Carl.
Wow.
So what's the statistical probability of all 3 of the? Clearly his name isn't Carl. That's why it didn't work out. But he's like, I just always thought that was weird. Like, what's the probability of? He's like, because Carls aren't even really that popular anyway.
I mean, I think you'd have to do some version of like how many Carls are there in the world, and then like divide that by like how many Carls are of like marrying age. Like, there's a lot of factors, but a very, very, very slim margin.
Yes, for sure. Cynthia Freeland is our guest. All right, let's get into some football, some conversation around the Chiefs and the league. What's your takeaway on Sunday to the Chiefs narrowly escaping? They get the win 16-14 against the Broncos. Certainly we'll get into some of the particulars, but what's the takeaway from Cynthia Freeland as the Chiefs remain undefeated?
You know, sometimes you're on the right side of the coin flip, and the other time you're on the wrong side. Sometimes the coin flip is weighted against you, and it still comes up on your side. So I would say, you know, look, like sometimes luck works and sometimes it doesn't. And this time, I mean, it's rare to miss a field goal or to have a field goal blocked, or any sort of kind of special teams mishap is not the norm. So to me, like, maybe it just means that, like, you know, the conspiracy of the NFL is that the Chiefs are just kidding.
It means the script is real. I mean, at this point, there's no denying it.
It's real. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, it just means that sometimes you're on the right side of luck and sometimes you're on wrong. This is not even an equal probability thing. It was extra special lucky, but that is the way this game works. And the way you ensure that you're never in a luck situation is a little bit more consistency early in the game.
So let's go through that luck situation, because everybody should acknowledge that luck plays a part in sports. You know, winning games along the way, winning a Super Bowl, there's some luck that gets involved with different things along the way. But where's the line between luck and, you know, preparation / attention to detail for the different teams? And it's been much discussed. We talked about it here on Monday on the 3 times that Leo Chenal rushed against Alex Forsyth. He rushed in 3 different ways. The first time he went up against him, he went to his inside shoulder, so Forsyth's right shoulder, and Leo Chenal still knocked him on his butt and then dove down the line of scrimmage and didn't get there. And the next time was the long field goal. Leo Chenal went to the outside shoulder of Forsyth, his left shoulder, went around him, still knocked him on his butt, even though going just, you know, half the body, but was late because he tried to go around him. And he said after the game that he was light on his feet, was Alex Forsyth, that he knew that. So the adjustment then is, well, if I've gone around him twice and he still ended up on his butt, maybe I just simply bull rush, go right through him, technique bull rush, get my feet, launch as being an athletic freak, and block the ball. There's luck that's involved certainly along the way, but where's the line between luck and then preparation, attention to detail, and creating some of your luck?
Well, I mean, not everything is truly 50-50, right? It's a weighted coin. This is a situation where, you know, you were at the opportunity, at the intersection of what opportunity and luck, and it went your way, right? So luck doesn't necessarily mean something was 50-50 and you get on the right side of 50-50. Sometimes it's 80-20 and you're on the right side of 20. So I would imagine that, you know, sometimes you put yourself in a position to have better luck. So in the one specific incident with, you know, Leo Chenal and Alex Forsyth, it's probably more like 60-40 or 70-30, right? So you're on the right side, you're on the higher probability side, but it also went your way as well. It could have gone not your way 40% of the time, for example.
What do you make of the fact that it's been much discussed now that Alex Forsyth 8 out of the last 10 times, but really it's 8 out of the last 9 times that somebody has rushed against him, because the first extra point attempt, nobody rushed on that side. They just stayed back. So 8 of the last 9 times that somebody has made contact with him, he's ended up on his butt. You know, the slow death, die a slow death, as they say in the special teams and field goal unit. You know you're going to get crushed. But I mean, for those that'll say, well, yeah, but you fall backwards sometimes. Like, he's the only guy that hit the ground in the game on any kick attempt with the Chiefs or the Broncos. Like, so that clearly shouldn't be the technique. So that's going on. They stay with them. The Chiefs take advantage, but also they go to the right hash mark, which then creates your weak link with the Chiefs' strength to then have to kick through that part of it. What do you make of sort of just like that strategy? The Broncos staying with him and then going to the right hash mark, which would put more emphasis on that side to do their job and to block and not fall backwards.
I think they were just, I mean, even with all of those things working against them, it is still incredibly hard to block something. Like, it's not even like it's not like they were like, oh wow, like, I'm going to give Patrick Mahomes single high safety and see what happens, right? Like, that is stupid, and we all know it. But that's also, Patrick Mahomes has a lot more control in that situation. When you are the kicking team and maybe the right hash is better for the kicker. Like, there's so many things you have to weigh, and that's still just like a very low probability event. Even though you're making a low probability event less of a low probability event, it is still like, that doesn't happen, right? Like, that is not it's not like you see that happen often, let alone with any regularity that you would say, wow, I should really move it to the other hash mark. I mean, looking back, of course, you would say that, but in the moment, you're like, no. Like, this is a guy who our kicker's been kicking for forever. Like, this is what it's not great, but you don't always have like the opportunity to switch like Alex Forsythe out for someone else. Like, again, very, very low probability. Even though looking back, the Chiefs were able to take those like tiny little slivers of gains and make them work to their advantage, it's still super, super low probability-wise.
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, the Chiefs have won a number of games this year on the last play of the game, which is, one, hard to do, and especially to stack those games to win on the last play and to remain undefeated. It certainly seems like they're burning the candle from both ends when it comes to some fortune that may take place. But the sort of what could be an expected regression to what typically happens in the NFL, which is the closer these games are that you play, the more times you will lose. The best way to win a game is to have a wide margin of victory. But these 50-50 games typically end up that way. So when we look at maybe what the expected result would be in combining all of these close wins to where it's like, well, really they should be 7-2 or 6-3. They shouldn't be 9-0. So if there's a regression to the mean, is it in your mind a full-on regression to where, all right, they've won 5 games on the last play, so now they're going to lose the next 5 games? Or is it moving forward, there may be a regression to the mean to where if they play 6 games that come down to the last play, they're not going to lose all of them, so it's the full season. It'll just be that will now even out this way moving forward, that in theory it would be 3-3.
I mean, over tons and tons and tons and tons of samples, it would be 3-3, right? Like, but you don't have tons and tons of samples in this league. And the good news is it's not like karma, right? Like, it's not like you do something, you're going to have some sort of karmic retribution. Every game is its own unique challenge and its own unique situation. You could argue, and I don't know if I would argue this, but I can see where some people would argue that there's a few games where the Giants, who we feel completely different about than we feel about the Kansas City Chiefs, they should have won games that came down to a last-minute situation that went the wrong way for them. That also is not indicative of the future of their one-possession games. And you couldn't feel more differently about those two teams, or at least I couldn't, right? So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, sometimes there's even something to be said, and I would have to study this with a little bit more vigor before I'd say it's like a statistical truth always and not just a correlation and it's actually causal. But sometimes if you're really good at winning possession games, now I'm not talking about ones where people get a blocked field goal. I'm talking about ones where, your quarterback in 13 seconds is going to be able to come back and bring you into overtime. Just, a little timely reference here. But ultimately, I think sometimes that can actually make you better at using your offense when you have control to be able to stop these things, or to be able to to win a one-possession game. But the hard part is you don't know if you're going to get that offensive possession always. Sometimes it just doesn't work that way with the clock. And other times it's, maybe you're God forbid someone gets hurt and now you're playing with not the normal amount of people or the normal, collection of people that you would have on this situation. So it's just not that's the thing about football that's beautiful but also frustrating. It's not a super long MLB season or hockey season, right? Or basketball season. It is, you get 17 rolls of the dice, and if you're very lucky like the Chiefs, like maybe by the time you get to number 17, you can make it a more of a fun game as opposed to one that absolutely needs to be won.
Absolutely. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. There's so many other things that came from this game that I want to talk about sort of in the macro. But there is some news with the Chiefs specifically, and that is, as we're talking about this, Leo Chanel has been named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Real shocking development, Cynthia. But that just came down 5 minutes ago. The AFC and NFC Offense, Defense, and Special Teams Players of the Week, and Leo Chanel has been named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. This is a real surprise.
You really should have told me ahead of time so I could prepare. I mean, that's a real miss on your part.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me so far ahead so I'd have something really, have a chance to process it before doing it real time.
I know, yes. I mean, this is a huge breaking news moment. This is a real surprise, but obviously well-deserved, and it's the biggest special teams play of the weekend, and I think a lot of people pointing out sort of his adjustment makes sense. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. One more on the that last part. I was really surprised that the win probability before that kick had it at 80% for the Broncos. Does that seem right? I mean, obviously they lost, so it wasn't 100%, but does it seem right that it was only 80%? Because I would have felt like that was like 97 or 98. I was very excited to go and check out the win probability before that kick to see the huge swing, but it wasn't as high as I thought.
I'm going to be honest with you. I like it when it's not. Like, that is one where it probably should have been in the 90s or could have been in the 90s, depending. Everyone has a different version of win probability. Yeah. However, one of the things that is my personal pet peeve is when they show these win probabilities in, like, the 90s percentages and then the other team wins. That should not happen very often. In fact, it should happen, like, once a season or maybe on a last-minute blocked field goal type of situation, but not in, like, the regular course of business. It drives me nuts when they're so volatile that it goes back and forth so much, because realistically it should be like 55, then 60, then 62. Like, it should not be massive swings like that, at least very often.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. That makes sense. I'm like, what are I feel like the win probability should be the probability of of Lutz making a 35-yard field goal. Like, what is the percentage
Correct.
of that would be the win probability?
Right, exactly.
Seemed like that would immediately match up right there. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. There are some things I want to talk to you about offense with this Chiefs team, but I want to focus on defense because it led into that field goal. The last 2 weeks, Cynthia, the Chiefs defense, leading by 7 against the Bucs on Monday night. The Buccaneers go down, drive the field, score a touchdown. They elect to go the extra point. And then the offense goes and wins the game. On Sunday, the defense with a 2-point lead. The Broncos go down and convert, and a third down late with no timeouts for the Chiefs. They go and convert, and they set up what should be an easier 35-yard field goal, and the special teams comes through and helps them win the game. Is there anything to take away with or to glean as to how good and dominant the Chiefs defense has been this year, yet some of these final possessions, the final possession for the Baltimore Ravens, the final possession for the Bucs, the final possession on Sunday, that the teams have been able to, with relative ease, it seems like, go down the field and score?
Well, the strategy...
Or be close to scoring,
winning,
by the way, I should say. Be close to scoring.
Right. When you get close to scoring. I think part of the strategy of the defense changes in that moment because you don't want to risk penalty or a dumb situation that allows, like, better to bend, not break in that situation, right? So the situation dictates a little bit of what's going on. I think the other thing is the Chiefs have clearly proven that their goal line stands are really, really good. I mean, see the end of the Cincinnati game. But, you have so many different ways that you can play defense or offense, and those quick kind of these are good teams you're talking about. I mean, Lamar Jackson is very likely to win his third MVP this year, and, that's nothing. And maybe having his best season as a passer, like, ever. And then, Baker Mayfield's had a really resurgent year as well, and they kind of had the element of surprise given that they were missing two of their best wide receivers and two of the best wide receivers in the league in that game. So there's a little bit of, context that's important, but not having a stupid penalty is a big focus because that changes a lot of what is then left to happen. And if you're seeing, where they're completing passes, who they're completing passes to, then once you get closer to the goal line, when you get into a closer area where you need to score, then you can play defense a little bit more aggressively again.
My theory that I've presented to a couple of different people, and there's been some, I can see that, but maybe not. And so I fully appreciate any feedback. And my theory on this is, I think it's almost an extra tip of the cap to Steve Spagnuolo with how good the defense is throughout the game, because the final drive, it almost feels like you got to win your one-on-one battles in the final drive. If a team is going more hurry up, then Steve Spagnuolo really isn't able to call some exotic blitzes or coverage schemes and set up the other team by personnel package and things like that. That it's a, hey, get there, get set to go on the defensive line and go win and go put pressure on the quarterback. And because the Chiefs have trouble pressuring the quarterback without blitzing, it sort of exposes the fact that they're also dealing with trying to find who their second cornerback is and giving the quarterback a little bit more time to throw. Whereas during the course of the game, Cynthia, if Steve Spagnuolo's calling plays and the other team is setting up and you see who's in the game and what the tendencies are, the Chiefs' defense is pretty dominant. Anything to that theory as to why it feels like late in the game teams have an easier time driving the field because there just doesn't ever seem to be pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, look, the blitz changes everything, especially when you do it at a top 5 rate consistently.
Right.
So, that's a massive difference. But I also think that, there's also something to be said for, that's probably why you saw Josh Uche come in, because now you create more different types of looks. Mm-hmm. So in more clutch situations and more deeper into the season, maybe you can mix up some of those looks, and then your theory combined with a little bit of new wrinkles and folds in the defense could really keep quarterbacks guessing.
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. I feel like there's some incongruent numbers for the Chiefs on first and second down that I find to be fascinating. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this. The Chiefs are the third best at gaining a first down on first down. Yet they rank, let me see the exact numbers. I want to get this right. Pull up my notes here. Yet they rank efficiency on early downs. Rushing, they rank 14th, and passing, they rank 19th. On first and second down, Patrick Mahomes ranks 23rd specifically as a quarterback. Yet on first down, they are the third best at gaining a first down on first down. Is that sort of they've become boom or bust, that they're going to gain a first down or they're just not going to be efficient on first and second down? Because third down, they're otherworldly, and we talked about that last week as to why they've been so good on third down. But those numbers feel like they shouldn't be together, right? To be middle to lower part of the NFL in efficiency on first down, yet be third at gaining a first down on first down.
I mean, I think part of that is it's probably you have to look at time series forecasting, not a sexy term, but you have to look at what happened plays before, what happened plays, series before, so that you have a sense of the flow of the game, because it's not like that. I would imagine, and I'm not sure, I'd have to look into it, but you'd have to probably look to whether or not, when is this happening in the game, right? Is it on the first drive, so you have the Andy Reid, I'm going to, dial up some crazy stuff in the scripted portion and you've never seen it before? Or is it okay, now we've diagnosed what your defense is trying to do and we're just going to crush you on first? I mean, I'd have to look into when they're happening a little bit more, but it's probably something to do with, one of the things that seems more like a difference here is, the way that you're seeing, the Kareem Hunt fold back in, maybe some of that data was different than when Isaiah Pacheco was in, or maybe, you'd have to sort of get a little bit more granular, because then you'll see where that's coming from.
Yeah. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland. Is there a matchup problem for the Chiefs offensively and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, whatever, against Lou Anarumo and Vance Joseph. I brought this up with our Chiefs insider yesterday that the Kansas City Chiefs in the last couple of years in facing Lou Anarumo and facing Vance Joseph with the Denver Broncos, it's been 5 different matchups that they've had. And in those 5 matchups, last year, the 3 of the lowest 4 third down percentage rates came against Cincinnati and Denver last year. They played them 3 times, 3 of the 4 lowest. And this year, they already have 2 of the 3 lowest are Denver and Cincinnati. And in the 5 matchups, Cynthia, this is a team that historically third down percentage, right? Historic third down percentage. In the 5 matchups with Cincinnati and Denver, they are converting 18 of 59 on third down, which is 30%. Is there something particular that it's just Lou Anarumo and Vance Joseph, that it is a riddle that the Chiefs have struggled to crack?
So I'm going to give the asterisk here because I kind of don't think personnel-wise it's fair, because Vance Joseph has a ridiculous defense. Like, we're talking Pro Bowlers, like people who are potentially like that is a really, like Zach Allen is crushing the world and Pat Surtain. Name me other than Trey Hendrickson, name me who Lou Anarumo's working with that you're like, oh, I'm really scared of that person. So I think it's more like, I think Lou has a really good strategy for it, because it feels like the Bengals are always in it, even though their defense has been beyond suspect this season. But, I mean, and I'm not crediting Vance Joseph. He's done a great job. However, you give a lot of defensive coordinators that roster, and I think it would be a bit easier for them to craft a plan as well than maybe some other ones. It's just an asterisk there. But, I mean, it's some people are, specially designed to be effective in this way, and I think that is where Lou really does succeed.
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. The Chiefs' left tackle situation became pretty glaring, and against that defense that you're talking about, and Nick Bonito looked like the best player on the field on Sunday, and also where numbers can be deceiving if you just connect like a sack with a player, because Kingsley Suamataia technically was only credited with giving up 1 sack. So, I mean, obviously it was much worse than that. The left tackle issue, is this a potential death knell for the Chiefs if they continue on this road and they have to maybe go to Kingsley in a do-or-die game in the playoffs? Is it something maybe they need to address in free agency? But what do you think of the left tackle issue, and is it something that if we're talking about them losing in the playoffs, it could be a big reason why?
I mean, at this point, when you talk about the playoffs in the AFC, 1-game sample sizes are going to be massive, which is why getting the bye is such a big deal, because, we don't have a series to work it out, right? The better team doesn't always win. Sometimes you get a really hot pressure situation coming across, and the left tackle is such a key position that it actually could be. Now, if it were a different quarterback and not Patrick Mahomes, maybe that, would make it even more of an issue, but it's still a massive issue, especially when you're talking about, like, where do you end up at the end of the season in terms of number of healthy offensive linemen, period, full stop. This is not a strong offensive line class in terms of depth. Anywhere that you would be picking, probably not going to get like these day one starters, especially at the left tackle position. It's a compliment, but it's a tough road to hoe. Yeah. But ultimately, it is a massive deal. And I think, it is a good season to be free agency season to be an offensive lineman's agent. Like, then you get the money, but you don't have to get hit. So there we go.
That's a good point. Yes, nothing wrong with that. That's the best. That's like a backup quarterback. That's the best job ever, as long as you don't have to go in the game. Just do that. Being the backup left tackle for the Chiefs was hazardous on Sunday for Kingsley. That didn't work out too well. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, you're very familiar with the Buffalo Bills and being around them in training camp and the preseason games. What do you make of this team? They had the back-to-back losses with Baltimore and Houston, but they took care of business against the Jets, and they beat Miami. And even though it felt like Indianapolis had so many opportunities to win that game on Sunday, there were so many turnovers there with Flacco, who, by the way, they are going back to Anthony Richardson now. They have just Shane Steichen has announced that Anthony Richardson is now the starting quarterback. But What do you make of this Buffalo Bills team and how they're playing right now, given some of the injuries too, but what we've seen as of late?
The interesting part about the Bills is in the past 3 games, we've seen all 4 of Josh Allen's interceptions this season. And it has been, they haven't been punished for them. But to me, that team goes the way of Josh Allen's ability to take care of the football.
Yeah.
Some teams are less punished for a turnover than others. However, if Josh Allen can't keep it clean, especially in this matchup, it's not going to go well. However, they do have the second best O-line in all of football right now, and the ability for that interior of the O-line to help James Cook keep things honest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does it mean in this game you're going to see a really great run game against the Chiefs? Heck no, you're not going to. But sometimes 4 yards on first down, that is sexy enough for them, right? So this one will go the way, to me, of Josh Allen's ability to take care of the football. And further, their defense, it's interesting because the whole season I've had this asterisk being like, I'm really worried about the spine of their defense. The safety position is not strong like we're used to. And with Matt Milano being out and they just opened his window to return, that is the quarterback of the defense right there. They're a long-standing, really important piece of that. I haven't seen them be punished for it. However, asterisk again, Greg Rousseau took a big step up this season, and Christian Benford and their corners, despite not being highly regarded guys in terms of draft picks or draft capital, their corners have played really well. So there's a lot of interesting pieces to this matchup for sure.
Real quick, then I want to get a prediction. We'll be watching closely over the next few days what happens with Cooper and Kincaid. Keon Coleman has already been ruled out with the wrist, so the killer C's or K sounds, Coleman, Cooper, and Kincaid. We'll see what the latest is with the if and this is a big if Amari Cooper and Dalton Kincaid can't go on Sunday. What does that do, and how much of a detriment is that to the Bills' offense?
To me, that changes the score. However, you got to be mindful of the silent K, as in Dawson Knox, because he's still there. And they did show that they can use him, corner routes or something where he's been pretty successful.
Yeah.
So I would say the silent K is still there. And Khalil Shakir from the slot, which kind of sometimes can function as like a quasi tight end.
Curtis Samuel.
That could be a spot. Curtis, listen, there's a lot of Ks. They got a lot of Ks situations going on. It's good.
James Cook? Mac Hollins? Does that still count? I don't know. All right, do you have a score for us in mind on Sunday, 3:25, one of the most anticipated games of the season?
All right, so should the Bills be at least whatever from now, so no Keon Coleman, but should the Bills be at full speed, I actually do have the Bills handing the Chiefs their first loss. Mm-hmm. However, here's my asterisk. It is a good thing. I believe that it is better for the Chiefs to have a well-fought, good loss, take the L here, than try to go for the undefeated season. I did a bunch of math for the second half of the season. Just worry about the bye. You're already there. It is okay. That is the way to, do you want to win a Super Bowl? To me, the better path would be to, be very happy at 9-1 as opposed to trying to make it 10-0 without, again, this all turns around, and I flip it to the other side. Should they be missing Amari Cooper and Dalton Kincaid? But let's just pretend they're a full go, and I actually think that's the better overall long-term outcome.
Even if it draws the Bills that much closer to getting the 1 seed with the Chiefs with a 1-game deficit?
Not worried about the Bills getting the 1 seed. If you look at their remaining schedule, the Chiefs' schedule, just be happy with the scheduling gods. They're in your favor. Maybe God is a chief. It seemed like it last week. Maybe God is a lion. Maybe they're both. Maybe that's a premonition of the Super Bowl. Who knows? But ultimately, I think I wouldn't get ticky-tacky about the 1 game or so.
Okay.
And I'm not worried about the Bills. They still have some games left that they're very tough games compared to, overall the schedule is more favorable for the Chiefs.
All right, we'll see what happens. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, great stuff. Very much appreciate the time. Enjoy the football. We will talk next week.
Absolutely. Talk to you next week.
Absolutely. There you go. Cynthia Freeland. Great stuff. Maybe it was Cynthia Freeland, huh? Should be going.
That was so good. The
Isn't that
silent
crazy?
K, Dawson Knox.
Dawson Knox would be the silent killer. He could be the silent killer for the. I mean, James Cook, Khalil Shakur, Curtis Samuel, Kincaid,
former backup Mitchell Trubisky,
Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Mac Hollins. I'm not going to count that one, but that is crazy. The killer K's. For even though
where
there's
is Trubisky?
C's.
Is he the backup still?
Yeah, he's the backup.
Trubisky.
Yeah, I'm not going to count that one because he's the backup. So if it's Trubisky in the game, one of two things: either this game is over and the Chiefs don't have to worry about putting their starters and they get some rest in the fourth quarter because they've lost, or there's been an injury and Trubisky has to go in there and play. And so if Trubisky's in there, I don't think the Chiefs are going to get blown out. So, but yeah, we'll see. If Cooper and Kincaid play, she's got the Bills winning. If Cooper and Kincaid miss, she has the Chiefs winning. So we'll see. We'll take a timeout, come back, more zone next. Chiefs coming up in just a little bit. So I tweeted out last night about the stat with Alex Rodriguez being the only shortstop in Major League Baseball history in his career to have a batting title, a Gold Glove, and a Silver Slugger, and Bobby Witt just did that in the same season. I do appreciate people replying with, well, the Silver Slugger's only been around since 1980. Like, it doesn't change the tweet. Doesn't change the tweet at all. He's still the only shortstop.
It's coming up on 50 years now, people. I know 1980 to
That's
some.
a lifetime.
Some
A
people that
lifetime.
seems like not very long when you're born in the 90s, but nowadays.
1980, that's literally my entire life.
Right.
In my entire life, being born in 1980, my entire life, he is just the second shortstop to ever do this. Every other shortstop has had an opportunity in their entire career to accomplish this. But they didn't. They did not do that. Only A-Rod.
You look good for 44.
Thanks, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
not a day over 43.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been saying that my whole life. I'm 43 plus 1. Not my whole life, but, since June. 43 plus a 1.
I can't wait for December to really hit, though. That's going to really change your look.
Is that right?
Yeah. No, it's incredible what Bobby Witt Jr.'s done, man. It's truthfully so refreshing as a Royals fan as well, just to – it feels like you never get that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You look around, you look at the Ronald Acuñas and the Bryce Harpers and the Mike Trouts and the Miguel Cabrera. Yes, George Brett, but that's literally been it's been 40 plus years. So it always felt like there was always hype around players, always hype.
The next generational talent for the Royals is going to be insert name here.
And there's been some good ones. Like Eric Hosmer was good, but he wasn't generational.
Greinke came along when he didn't have enough around him to really emphasize his talents.
Like
and take advantage.
Carlos Beltran, I maybe you consider generational, but he left.
Yeah.
They traded him. So, like, Bobby Witt's really the first guy since George Brett to, if you want to count Salvi, I'll enter, but I don't know if Salvi's even generational in this instance. For a catcher, maybe, but he was never top 3 MVP. This is legitimately the best of the best. This is the Aaron Judge. This is the Ronald Acuña Jr., and he plays for your Kansas City Royals.
Yeah. And in the history of Major League Baseball, there's only been 2 shortstops to win the Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, and batting title in their career. That's the history.
Yeah.
And Eric Bieniemy once said, history's a long time.
Since roughly 1980.
Give or take. Give or take. I mean,
Give or take, yeah.
My entire life, roughly 520 months. At what age do we stop telling people how old your kids are in months? How old are you? 520 months.
Did you actually, were you born in 1980 exactly?
Yeah,
So
June.
they started the Silver Slugger for you, really,
Exactly,
is what it was.
Because that's what my dad called me. What's up, Silver Slugger?
And someone goes, they should make that an award.
Yeah, nobody called me that. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next. Kareem Hunt and DeAndre Hopkins. They will be at the podium today as we'll head out to the Kansas City Chiefs and hear from them today here at any moment. Getting ready for the Buffalo Bills game. And I'm guessing Patrick Mahomes will be asked about the incident that took place at his house being broken into the night before the New Orleans Saints Monday Night Football game that became public yesterday.
It's crazy how it was kept under wraps that long.
Right, yeah. And then the night of that game, Travis Kelce's house broken into. So
how are you getting to Loch Lloyd?
I mean, I know the route I would take.
No,
to
I
drive
know, but
there,
there's there's security guards and
that's what's.
It's not really an easy place to burglar.
To burgle?
To burgle.
Can't really burgle that place. We'll see if he's asked about it or not. But certainly he'll be asked about going to Buffalo. See if there's any snowballs thrown his way this time. Hopefully there's snowballs thrown his way as he's running off the field. Let's hope that's the case. Because if that's the case, then that means they won. I don't even know if there's going to be snow there. They should create snow. Put it fake snow so that you could then
it's like a Hallmark movie.
Pack the snowballs and throw them when he's running off. Yes, it is a couple of teams that don't really like each other, fan bases that have problems with each other.
Which is a bummer because I enjoy watching the Bills.
I enjoy watching Josh Allen play, just not against the Chiefs.
And I enjoy their fan base, just not when it involves Kansas City.
Yeah,
it's such a frustrating conundrum for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Also, there was the report that CBS Sports, we said, is this game going to be flexed? And immediately said no chance because CBS isn't going to let go of this. This was the number one request from CBS was this specific game.
Yeah.
With the scheduling. So CBS Sports, this one specifically was the request for the Chiefs and the Bills to be on CBS this year. So zero chance it was going to be flexed. And also, you take care of the numbers that you are required to have the Chiefs on CBS, the numbers you are required to have the Bills on CBS. You've just taken care of both of them in one game, and you've taken care of CBS as a partner that said, hey, this is the game we want the most.
And you take care of me because I love 3 o'clock games. So
what about
really,
3:25 games?
It's the same. I mean,
it's not the same.
3 o'clock
3 and 3:25
hour
is not the same.
Well, there's no 3 o'clock game, Jason. It's actually 3:05.
I'm just saying. 3:25 and 3 is completely different. It's 3. If the game started at 3,
3 o'clock hour is the ideal time for a football game to watch.
If
your team playing, because then you get the night game, you get the noon games,
and you get what you would have discovered called the witching hour in the red zone.
The which now? Huh?
The witching.
Is it in Salem?
Yes, the witching hour that everybody in America knows about except for Sterling Holmes. That Dylan
that
and I thought
happened in
was
like
a bit.
the 1700s.
That Dylan and I really
it was a witch hunt. The Salem witch hunt happened a long time ago.
Last week that Sterling was playing the role, and as it turns out, he really didn't know.
What are you talking about?
Not a bit, folks. Not a bit. The witching hour in the
witching hour is like
windows.
3 a.m. in the morning. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, here is Andy Reid.
As the injuries go, Charles and Jake will start working today. And we'll just gradually build them up as we go. And that's really it. Everybody else is practicing. So look forward to the challenge of playing the Bills. Real good football team. We know that. We played them several times here over the last few years. So we know they're well coached and a good team. And they've got good players. So we've got to start our work day today and get busy with it. Get preparation. Time's yours.
Could you imagine a scenario where either Isaiah or Charles plays this week?
Unlikely.
As you look at the Bills, they've had, obviously roster's changed in all the teams. They look significantly different on offense with some of the defections on wide receiver. They're pretty much the same stuff.
No, I mean, they're doing well. They've similar stuff, but quarterback's playing real well, and he likes those receivers that he has. So they're moving around well, and they seem to be on the same page. Good tight ends, So good running back.
Andy, Lonnie Morris, how's he doing? And
He's doing good.
what happened with him in the game? He got hurt, came out for a while, but it looked like he could have gone back in, and then he finally did. But
Yeah, he got on a stationary bike where he was waiting to get the thing under control there. So he tweaks it every now and then, and that's what happens. So he comes out, and then he's able to go back in.
Coach, what's your optimism level on a return for wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster?
There's a good chance he's back. We'll see as we go through practice, but if it's up to him, he's back. Yeah.
Andy, Josh Allen's been more efficient this year, less turnovers. How has he been able to do that based on what you've seen on tape?
Now, he's doing a great job with the ball. He's using everybody, and he's not forcing anything in there, obviously. So I think he's doing great with his decision making.
Andy, every position has a rookie learning curve. With left tackle, what is the difficulty of coming right into the NFL and being prepared?
Yeah, well, you've got good players on the other side that play against that left tackle, and when you're young, there's going to be a couple of hiccups in there. You just got to bear with it as they grow. Before when you got hurt, he was doing a nice job out there, but that thing, you had the bone bruise before, and then he tweaks it every once in a while. So it takes a minute to calm down, and he comes back in. But every week he's gotten a little bit better that he's been starting. So that's a positive going forward here.
Andy, with when you mentioned the bone bruise, is that like a long-term issue that you might have more concern about going forward, or is it something?
Yeah, he's not doing anything to hurt it worse. That's not what's going on. But these things are like a little bit like a high ankle sprain that way, where you bring them back and they tweak it and they sit for a little bit, it calms down, come back out, and they go. So different injury, but I mean it's what he had.
Andy, I know you've spoken to this a bit, but what do you think has enabled DeAndre to have such an impact so fast? And obviously it's talent and intelligence, but what is it that's made it all come together that way?
Yeah, well, he's always been a great player, and this offense gives him opportunities. His style of player, and the quarterback trusts him. So, and then what he is what you saw on Sunday with the one catch on the crossing route, where dirty tough, lands on the football, is able to get up, shows no sign of weakness on that, and wants to get back in and go. And that's been him. Tough catch, contested ball, lands on it hard, and gets back in and plays and wants more.
And from the outside looking in, anyway, I think it seems like gives you a little different dimension than some guys have in the past. But do you agree with that? Does that seem like that range of things he can do?
Well, he's great with the contested balls. That's what he's great with. So if you get it in, and he's got long arms, big hands, and if you get it in that radius, you're pretty sure he's going to get that son of a gun. So, we've had good receivers here, and we have good receivers here. So, but that's his strength right there.
Andy, when it comes to career high, obviously a lot of carries. I think the last 3 games he had 70 carries. So how is his conditioning going on so far, and going into the stand of Buffalo where you might have to lean on him even more? How are you trying to compliment him and measure his carries out?
Yeah, so we threw him the ball a little bit more this past week. They were doing a good job inside, just kind of shutting off the run game part of it. And so we ended up getting him the ball. We would like to get him the ball whatever way we can get him the ball because he's a good player. He's doing well for just coming off the couch. I mean, he's like second in the league for the number of games he's played on carries and yards. So, I mean, he's doing a heck of a job. And he wants more. So he's not asking to come out now. That's not quite how he's wired, but he's doing well. He fell on his leg there. One of the guys fell on his leg and kind of tweaked it a little bit, but he's fine.
Coach, executive started off the season pretty fast, made a little bit of an impact. He's kind of tapered off a little bit. Are you sensing any frustration from him? What are you sensing?
I haven't. He's a competitive kid, and these things work like that. You know, he's got a lot of guys around him that have played, and he's learning as he goes. But he's so smart, and he's got talent, and teams are playing all that shell coverage on the back end. So some of his deep stuff, they try to take it away there. But you know, that's not the only thing he can do.
Right.
So it's just a matter of getting him. There's going to be a game here somewhere where he gets a lot of catches, and we all kind of go, all right, that's how those things work.
We'll go across the room. Go ahead, Matt.
Coach Leo wins as AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Not a big surprise. We've talked about him developing as a defensive player, but he's been a key special teams player for a while. How important is he in that?
Yeah, Tua banks on him to be a core guy for him. Spags banks on him to be a guy for him that he can move around and do different things, from spying a quarterback to being a very good pass rusher to being able to set an edge in the run game. So he's a valuable guy. He doesn't say much, but does a lot. So we all depend on him.
Dave?
Sean McDermott talked this morning about how he likes seeing you on TV with your commercials because that's the personality he got to know over 12 years with you. What was Sean like working with him, his personality? Did we see what he's like when he's at the podium or on the sideline or he's something else?
Yeah, I haven't watched his press conference, but he's got a great personality. You know, fellow redhead, man, he's a heck of a football coach. And he came from a father that was a football coach, and so he grew up around it. Was a good football player himself, and just top notch. I have a lot of respect for him, what he's done.
Sam?
Andy, you mentioned Xavier Worthy, but what did you see on the way he was able to create separation on that deep pass? Was there anything more than the miss than just a missed throw?
Yeah, no, that was it. He did a great job on that one. Of getting behind the guy, and that's a good corner too. So give him a little hezzy move and took it from there. So did a nice job with it. And somewhere we'll get all that worked out. You know, it'll happen. Just gotta keep rolling.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, good.
All right, there's Andy Reid. Pacheco and Amenahu are practicing. Everybody else practicing, so that means Juju Smith-Schuster, decent chance he could play. A good chance, he said, that he is back. Boy, there's a lot to take away from the Wanya Morris conversation.
Yes.
With that bone bruise that he hurt. Who was that against, where he came out of the game and Kingsley came in?
Oh, it was against the Saints on Monday Night Football. I was there.
Was it? Okay, so he injures his knee. Kingsley goes in.
I don't know if that's the first time, but he did go out in that game. Yeah,
the one where he went out for a while with the knee and he was laying on the ground holding his knee, and he's done.
That was that game. Yeah.
So that was the bone bruise. He came back in that game eventually. That was great. There was another time he left because of cramping, not because of that, but also Andy Reid saying that in this game he tweaked it and he came out of the game and then went back in. We'll talk more about that. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
Since this happened, this burglary, what's your first reaction when you realize you're part of this sort of targeted situation that happened?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's frustrating, it's disappointing, but I mean, I can't get into too many of the details because the investigation is still ongoing. But obviously, something that you don't want to happen to really anybody, but obviously yourself.
Can you say, if we know this happened midnight on a Sunday morning before that Monday Night Football game, were you or your family, were you guys home?
Yeah, I can't speak too much about the details of everything, just with the investigation going on. But I'm sure at some point that will be talked about.
Patrick, when you know, with your resume, I know there's things that you won't accept in a win that you win in a loss. Your play this season, I know it's probably not up to your standards. How do you rectify the week in and week out when you say that you got to improve and you got to get better?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot about myself last year. Just when I did feel like I wasn't playing my best football, and we were kind of struggling throughout the season, and I kind of learned how to just find ways to win. And so it kind of helped me grow up, not only as a player but as a person, to show that it's not about stats, it's not about how you get it done, it's just about getting it done. And so I know how tough it was last year when we were losing those football games, and if we're finding ways to win this year, and I'm not putting up the stats, I'm feel a lot happier when I go home.
Following up on that, Patrick, I've got to ask because, it's obvious when we're looking at it from the press box, but your the tackle situation, last few weeks, they've been getting that work put in on them, and you've taken probably some unnecessary hits. What do you say? What are you saying to them coming out of the huddle, coming off, when you're getting up off the field, and blocks are being missed left and right, and you're taking some unnecessary hits?
Yeah, no, I believe in those guys. I believe in all the guys that are on that field with me. I believe in my teammates, and because more than even on the field, I see the work they put in every single day and how hard they work to go out there and execute at a high level. And there's times where I need to get rid of the football. I take some unnecessary hits as well. And it's about coming together as a team and being that unit that's in sync every single snap. And I think if we do that, we'll go out there and execute at the level that we want to.
Patrick, when it comes to this game and what's now really a rivalry, 8 times in the last 5 years you guys played in this millennium, the only people that have done that is Brady and Manning, and now it's you and Allen. Just what is it about this game that just brings out the best of both you guys, and how much respect you have for the other side of the field, especially the way Josh Allen's playing?
Yeah, I mean, you're playing the best. I mean, the best of the best. That's what you want in this league. And I've been able to go up against Josh a multitude of times, and every single game it seems like it comes down to the very end. And he's a guy that competes, and he has that fire. I think you can see that fire that he plays with, and that kind of goes through his entire team. And a lot of guys have had a lot of success, and so we know it's going to take our best football. I think that's what we know, and if we don't, we're going to lose, and we've lost some, and we've won some. So I'm just hoping that this week we can get out there, play our best football, and find a way to get a win.
And you've played so many games so far with that friendship you guys have had. You guys have played golf together. It's been all about that. But like now, as the games have progressed, is the kind of conversations that's still there? Is it kind of spaced away since the game's been so crucial?
No, we still stay in touch. I mean, especially in the off seasons, just kind of with both of our love for golf and just being around the people. And I know Shane Buechele, and he was here and now he's there, and so he's a really good dude. I think that's why his team plays so hard for him. But I mean, obviously we're both competitors, so in the season, not as much talking as we're both going for that ultimate goal, the Super Bowl. But at the same time, there's a ton of respect both ways.
In the offseason, talking about Hollywood, you almost said, I was surprised we were able to get this guy in the room. Now a few weeks with DeAndre, is there a similar feeling that like you're surprised that this guy was available for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I watched some Tennessee's tape, but at the same time, not having him here, you didn't know what to expect as far as the player on and off the field. And he gets in the room, and he's a leader from day one. He's teaching younger guys, he's helping younger guys in the room about stuff that he's learned. And then you get on the practice field, and you see how explosive he still is, and how he can still make these plays. And he can go one-on-one with the best of the best and win. And it was definitely a pleasant surprise for me just seeing him on that football field. And I think I can even give him more and more chances as it goes on, because he seems like he's making plays every time I do.
Patrick, you were pretty close to having a pretty big offensive day on Sunday. You talked about those couple misses you had after the game. Just wondering, how long do you focus on that? Does it get extra focus as you watch film? Just what's kind of your process as you go through those aspects?
Yeah, I mean, I just got to go back to the fundamentals and trying to make those throws. I mean, you can only do so much as far as when you miss stuff, but you go back and learn from it as best as you can. You get back to your fundamentals, and there's a couple of these last few weeks I've missed Xavier on some of those deep shots, and I feel like if I hit those shots, the offense looks completely different. Not only for those numbers and those stats, but it opens up everything else for everybody else. And so just trying to get back to that. He's getting open every single game, hitting those throws whenever I can, and it'll take pressure off the rest of the offense as well.
What did you see just for his ability to, what stood out about him getting open on that?
Yeah, I think you can see how much he learned from week to week. I mean, the week before he got open and kind of faded a little bit, caught the ball, and ended up being out of bounds. Whereas you saw in that double move, he kind of stacked the guy, we say, got back on the red line, gave me room to throw, and then I threw the ball out of bounds. And so you see those steady progressions each and every week. And I think in the long run, it's going to really pay off because he is getting open. And I have the confidence I'll be able to hit him on some of those shots down the field. And like I said, it's going to open up the rest of the offense as well.
Jerry, you mentioned a minute ago, you learned how to just embrace how to win the game, stats aside. How would you describe what that looks like and feels like in game?
Yeah, I think you get a feel for how the defense is playing. You get a feel for how the whole game's going, the flow of the offense. And then you try to make the best decision on when to not and when to take chances. In certain games, you got to take some of those chances. You got to go out there and score some points. And I feel like I've done that at certain points this year. And then in certain games, the defense is kind of shutting the door. They're winning the game kind of for us. And I just had to execute in those big moments. And I think last week, if I execute on that throw to Travis or Xavier in that last drive, that would have been kind of reading the game the right way and getting us enough room for the win. And luckily for us, Leo makes a great play whenever I don't execute in that moment. But I've learned from playing a lot of games kind of when are those big moments and when you need to go out there and make plays.
We'll go last to Nate, Vahe, and then Todd. Go ahead, Nate.
Patrick, similar to you is someone like Chris on the defense. His stats may not reflect the sort of play that he's having, but what have you sort of appreciated or noticed from what he's done this season, kind of in a similar vein from a leadership standpoint on the defensive side?
Yeah, first off, like you said, leadership. He comes to work every single day. He gets after it. He's practicing hard. He's showing that. He's another guy's gonna have a gold jacket, and he's showing that he can get in there and get reps in practice, and he can get after it. And I think more than anything is he understands the scheme that the offense is doing. So sometimes he's taking up 2 blockers, he's taking up 3 blockers so that a blitzer can get free. And a lot of times you might try to do too much in that situation, but he knows that when his time comes, when they do give him that single one-on-one block, he's going to win. And those are usually the biggest moments of the game. And I think they do a great job as a full defense of executing and running the entire scheme. And it's not about one guy, but it does help when you have that guy in the middle.
Bye.
Patrick, it seems that DeAndre has a bit of a distinct skill set. I wonder how that affects your reliability with him, your connectivity with him. Does that give you kind of a mindset of chemistry with him?
Yeah, I think just the ability to win one-on-one is special. That truly is special, and sometimes it gets lost. Because whenever you got a guy in the boundary that's one-on-one with, like this week he was with Surtain, and Surtain's one of the best corners in the league, and he was winning some of those. He's winning some of those matchups, and he's really kind of showcasing that he can win one-on-one versus anybody. And that stuff that takes pressure, it puts pressure on the defense whenever I'm hitting those guys over there in those one-on-one matchups and making them push guys over, which is opening up everybody else. And so that, as well as being able to make tough and contested catches, like the deep cross he had over the middle of the field, that stuff that just in my mind shows me I need to give him more and more chances in those situations.
Is there any part of this game that you didn't realize he'd have? Is there something that has surprised you?
I think just the kind of the wiggle that he has, not only catching the ball and able to make stuff miss and get up the field, but as well as running the routes. Whenever you get around a guy like that, you don't see those things often. So to be able to see that at such a high level, I think it showcases to everybody what type of player he is.
Last two, Todd and Steve. Go ahead, Todd.
A lot of folks are talking about the matchup between you and Josh Allen. You're playing the Buffalo defense. What do they look like this year? What sort of strengths do they have that have caused you guys most problems?
Yeah, I think it's what they do every year. They do a great job of being really, really good at their scheme with great players. They rush the passer well, and it's not just one guy. It's a multitude of guys that play extremely hard and get after the passer, and then they turn the ball over. And that's the staple of great defenses is being able to rush the passer, stop the run, and turn the ball over, and they do all those things really, really well. And so it's going to take our best football, like I said. And I know it sounds cliche, but in order to win this game, you're going to have to play your best football. And I think that we're going to have to go out there and do that, and it's going to be a tough environment to do it in.
Steve?
Patrick, last week you posted a photo of Tom Brady and Randy Moss. Wanted to see if you saw that, see if you think that there's any similarities there.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool photo because you know what they did together. And D-Hop is a receiver that's on that level where he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and I'm trying to get to as close as I can to Tom as possible. But other than the stats and all that different type of stuff, I want to get that Super Bowl ring. And so if we can go get that one, I'll be good to post a picture of our own.
All right, thanks, Patrick. Thank you.
All right, there's Patrick Mahomes. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Head coach press conference brought to you by Greengrass Cattle Company, the only place to get you ready for every tailgate this football season. Order online at greengrasscattleco.com, and brought to you by Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC, offering unbeatable deals and a massive inventory of over 300 new Buick and GMC vehicles. Shop now at robertbrogdon.com. Patrick Mahomes press conference, the quarterback press conference brought to you by Xfinity X1. Easily search across live TV, on-demand sports, and your favorite streaming apps to find the best way to watch what you love. Xfinity X1, premier Volvo cars of Overland Park as well. The only Volvo dealership in Kansas City where luxury and safety meet. Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park at 78th and Metcalf at premiervolvocarsoverlandpark.com. And brought to you by GEHA. You could be on the 50 at GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Enter to win at chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA, proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll be hearing from Kareem Hunt and also DeAndre Hopkins here in just a little bit. So not a surprise that they came up in questions to Andy Reid and also Patrick Mahomes. But it's interesting. let's go back to the Andy Reid one because I think that's the biggest story of this week so far, and maybe the biggest story moving forward to see if the Chiefs are going to make a move or not. He talked about Wanya Morris. He's got the bone bruise. He tweaked it. He said, it happens. He tweaks it. He leaves the game. That thing calms down a little bit. He goes back in. He said it's a lot like a high ankle sprain where you hurt it, you come out, you get some treatment, calm down, you go back in. He hurt it. He came out on Sunday. He went to the stationary bike to warm it up to see when he was ready to go. He was ready to go. The pain or whatever subsided. And, hey, now go back in and play. That, to me, is really interesting because if this is something where Andy Reid's like, oh, week by week he tweaks it, he goes bone bruise, that doesn't sound like hey, he hurt it there, but now he's good. Yes. Now he's good. And if he gets injured again, it's something completely different. It sounds like on any play, Kingsley could be in the very next play. That puts even more of an emphasis on you need to go find somebody.
Correct.
And obviously the Chiefs are aware of this, and the front office is aware of this. But what's the plan on Sunday if Wanya Morris tweaks his knee and he's going up against Kingsley is Gregory Rousseau and Von Miller?
You pray.
Like MC Hammer? You got to pray just to make it today. That's why we pray.
Yeah,
Pray.
you really heard from Andy, and that did not calm or squelch anyone's concerns. If anything, it exasperated it, where you feel like you really do need to bring in a backup left tackle.
Yeah, they brought in Kareem Hunt. Here he is right now.
Body holding up and everything, and just as the carries pile on, Andy Reid just says you keep asking for more. What's that in game? How you manage your body and everything.
I mean, honestly, I just take it day by day. At this point in the season, I don't think really anybody's feeling great or at their best. But I just stay on top of it. Stay in the training room, getting rehab, and got to stay on it.
What's Monday, day after game, feel like for you? I mean, you feeling like an older running back or what?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. It's just definitely feel the soreness. But the way I play, I'm a physical guy. I always get sore after games and stuff like that. So I don't feel like because it's old or anything.
I guess Pop's coming back to practice. How do you think it's going to work between you guys?
I think that's great, man. I'm happy for him, and I know he's excited to get back and get out there. I think it's going to be a heck of a 1-2 punch.
Following up that, outlook-wise, just how similar do you think it could be to what you had with Nick Chubb in Cleveland?
I think it could be very similar, man. I'm excited. I'm used to working with other great backs and stuff like that. So, I feel like it's going to be another great 1-2 punch.
What does it mean for you to get a little bit more involved in the passing game this week?
I mean, a lot. Definitely being able to get the ball in space. They did a great job of trying to contain the run, and just getting the ball out in space makes my job a little easier. Having those guys try to tackle me then.
What have you gotten to know about Isaiah as a teammate in this time where he's been injured and getting around? I mean, is he someone you watched play? When you were elsewhere?
Oh yeah, I watch him. I got to watch him in the playoffs and everything. I just think he's one of those fun, energetic guys, and he brings the juice. I like being around that.
Kareem, other than trying to get positive yardage on each run, what are you trying to do when you have the football in your hands out there against the defense?
Well, I'm always trying to score when I get the football. I mean, that's the main goal, and pretty much not let one guy bring me down, just wear the defense down.
What's it been like be back with this team? You guys have found lots of different ways to win. Has anything shocked you about how this team has kind of done what you've done so far?
I mean, nothing's really shocked me. I just love the way that we're, battling together and finding ways to win, and it's like the whole team, special teams won the game for us last week. The defense won for us like a couple weeks ago. The offense went down and scored an OT. It's just finding ways to win. And no matter how we do it, we come together as a team.
Okay. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, there's Kareem Hunt, and I bet he feels pretty sore on a Monday.
Yeah.
Running backs in the NFL, man, just watching him get thrown around sometimes when they hit the line of scrimmage and they're getting pushed back by a linebacker and then a defensive lineman comes over and hits him. It's like a rag doll going back and forth. Oh, man. Here's DeAndre Hopkins.
Weeks ago, Tennessee, just what did you see out of that defense then, and then how can you bring it into this matchup?
Well, they beat us. So, good defense, good players over there, good coaching staff. So we got to come out and play our A game.
Have you been kind of informed and just, I know you've seen the Chiefs and the Bills play, so what have you thought about from afar that when the Chiefs and the Bills play each other?
It's always a good game, always a close game, always game. As an NFL player that you want to watch, those are going to be two good games.
DeAndre, you learned anything in particular about Patrick that you didn't know before you got here in the experience of working with him now?
I've had players who's played here. My first cousin played here, Terrence Smith, a while ago, and he used to tell me how smart he was, how motivating he was as a player. I would say, man, everything I've heard about him has been true, just how great he is as a player and as a person.
And you've been working with him less than 3 weeks. Does it feel like longer? It seems like you guys have already developed a certain chemistry.
No, it seems like 3 weeks.
What room for growth is there that when you say that, about that connection?
A lot of room for growth. I've been playing for a while, obviously. There are some things that I feel like I could do better. Just being here, learning offense. So, I take accountability for myself and what I can do, and focus on me.
How much has Xavier and some of the younger players kind of used you as a vessel to ask questions about how they can be better, and how have you provided some answers there?
I tell those guys go out and be themselves. They mess up, make a mistake, go out, just be yourself. Put it behind you, and they do good. I'm the first person to try to be there for them when they do good as well. But they've definitely been asking me a lot of questions just about football and life. That's why I'm here to be that big brother.
DeAndre, it seems like you're really enjoying this opportunity here. Number one, is that true? And number two, why? Assuming it is.
Of course, it is. Why? It's a great football team, great organization, great coaching staff. So that's why.
DeAndre, you mentioned the coaching staff. I've talked to a lot of veterans that have come here, went other places, and asked them just about Coach Reed. And they always say that they would run through a wall for him. Just want to get your thoughts on Coach Reed.
I haven't been here that long, but Coach Reed has definitely pushed me as a player. He's always watching everything that you do, and you want to go out and be perfect. You'll never be perfect, but you want to try your best. There's a standard that he has, and you feel it in the locker room. And so, I understand when players say what you just said. I could definitely testify to that.
DeAndre, from before that field goal block to the moment after, what was that experience and emotion like for you?
One of the closest games I've been in, from being on the sideline. I caught a Hail Mary, but I was actually, on the field. So, just watching, that was probably the closest game I've been part of. Just, being on the sideline. So a lot of emotions, just up and down. Those guys went out and drove the ball downfield to put themselves in position. So, it was a close game, but we came out.
Great. When you first got here, you talked about just being able to play meaningful football again. Now that you've been here for 3 weeks, how much juice and maybe a little bit of inner motivation is that giving you between faces?
I don't really need motivation. I've been playing for 12 years, so I don't think it motivates me the way you said it. Going on that football field and playing for my teammates and trying to be my best and make plays. That's what motivates me.
Todd, and then we'll do a couple more.
You look around on social media, other fan bases get frustrated that Chiefs just win these games. When you were elsewhere, did other teams you were on, like, how do they win these games? And was that a frustrating thing around the league? And if so, how does it feel like to be a part of these wins that just seem to kind of happen?
No, it wasn't frustrating from being on the opposing team watching, because these guys work, they play hard. You watch them on film. Even when you're not playing against them, you see stuff on film of those guys playing other teams and how they execute things. So they do the details right, and being part of it, it's just how we practice. It's how we go about our day. And yes, other question you asked?
But do you get a feeling here? Does it feel different in this locker room, meetings on the field and the sideline than it has felt other places?
Oh, of course. They they coming off a championship, 2 championships. So it feels a lot different than anywhere I've been.
Last one, Jim.
You mentioned Coach Reed pushed you as a player. What example do you have of that?
Just being detailed, not just at practice, but in walkthrough as well, and just making sure I understand the whole concept of the play.
Thanks.
All right, there's DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Hopkins played against the Buffalo Bills back on October 20th. I am going to say that he will have a better game against Buffalo this time than he did that time. Mason Rudolph had 25 completions that day for the Titans for 215 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins' numbers that game, Sterling?
1 for 11.
Damn, you're close. Mason Rudolph was 25 of 40, so 40 attempts.
Okay.
215 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins had 1 target, 1 reception, -2 yards.
Wow. That was.
I'm going to place a lot of money on the over on those numbers. You think we can get the over on 1 reception?
For -2 yards?
Over 1.5 and yards 0.5. Or over -1.5. I'm going to take the over on those. Good God, he threw the ball 40 times and only 1 to DeAndre Hopkins.
Was it the game that Calvin Ridley went off in?
No. Their leading receiver was Okonkwo with 4 receptions, 50 yards.
So no, it was not the game that Calvin Ridley went off in.
Westbrook-Akina had 2 receptions, 10 yards, and the touchdown.
Shockingly, Mason Rudolph, not a great quarterback.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you're not a great quarterback, wouldn't you force feed? I mean, honestly, though,
they go tight ends every time.
Right, but here's the thing, though, and I know we need to take a break. Dylan, stop yelling, okay? Good night. He's just so
Dylan,
theatrical.
so loud.
Put the camera on you right now as to all the screaming and yelling that's going on right now.
He's holding up signs. Like, did you
know.
create these signs? There's like a college football sign back there with the play calls.
You know what, Dylan, I disagree. You're number 1. I know you can tell me I'm number 1 all you want, but you are number 1.
Well, he's still number 1 with his with a finger, with a finger.
That was the joke. But Tennessee losing in that game, 34-10. But again, he gets to Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, who's got Kelsey, who's got Xavier Worthy, whether good, bad, or indifferent, and he's been feeding DeAndre. All right, Hall of Fame quarterback with 3 Super Bowl rings. DeAndre gets there. Barely knows the offense, and Mahomes is feeding him the ball. He's in Tennessee for his second year. Mason Rudolph, backup quarterback, 1 target to DeAndre Hopkins. Just, I don't know. Maybe there's some connection there as to good or bad, And even Patrick Mahomes saying, I need to give him more chances.
Yeah.
I need to throw the ball to him more. Where do you say? I need to give him more and more chances. Yeah. He puts pressure on defense. Ability to win one-on-one. He's special. Sometimes he gets lost. And when we take advantage of those one-on-ones, then they have to move people over. It puts pressure on the defense. That and his tough contested catches, I need to give him more and more chances. He got 1 target against the Bills.
Well, that's also not Mahomes' typical game. He's not a 50-50 guy or throw up shows, but he understands that that's a place where he can evolve because the one time he did do it on that 3rd down, what happened?
Yeah.
DeAndre got the ball.
Yeah. I'm going to take you up on that bet, Sterling. I'm going to take the over on DeAndre Hopkins' numbers, and you took the under.
I'm not allowed to?
We're betting 10-1 odds. I'll give you 10 coffees to the 1.
I don't like this bet. This is even this one I say no.
Hopkins taking the Juju may play. All right, if Juju plays, now Hopkins goes straight to the bench. You don't lose your job because of an injury. Ask Rich Gannon and Elvis Gerback.
If he got 0, he still would win.
If he got 0 yards, you're right. Nobody has to have over 1 reception. He has to have over 1 reception and more than -2 yards.
1,001. I get 1,000 coffees to your 1.
I don't want to do
3 years of coffee.
I'm not taking a chance of him rolling an ankle in warm-ups and having to get 1,000 coffees. No chance. I'm not taking a chance on him, Sammy Watkins in it.
Where's your confidence?
No, I'm good to go. I've been limited all week, but I'm good to go. 2 reps. Hamstrings tighten up. Sorry, Coach. But I do get that game check. Sorry, Garrick Dieter. I know you weren't active. Didn't get that game check this week. I did. But I was good to go, I thought, for those 2 reps. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, talk a little bit more about Andy Reid, Wanya Morris, what that means moving forward. Patrick Mahomes, the left tackle situation, his thoughts on it. DeAndre Hopkins and what he's done for this team will continue moving forward. We'll hang out with Mick Schaefer in the 1 o'clock hour. More Zone next. B. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Patrick Mahomes calling it frustrating and disappointing when finding out that he and Travis Kelce both had their homes broken into on Monday Night Football New Orleans Saints game. He cannot get into the details. Was asked, were you home? Was it? And he said, can't talk about it. It'll all come out. So he cannot talk about the details of the investigation and everything going on right now. But yeah, obviously it's disappointing, frustrating, and freaking scary.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing is you have your you're violated, right? You feel like your sense of security and comfort is just then gone. Even in a gated community within a gate in your driveway with security, your house still got broken into.
That's crazy.
So yeah, you would have that sense of security that would be lost, and it would take a while to get that back. So I can and you've got kids in the house.
Yeah,
like that's the thing is like, you know,
kids, a wife. I mean, it just I don't
scary.
I
Yeah.
don't get people,
Yeah.
man. I honestly I don't get it. Like I don't. Sorry, I don't get criminals. Like I just don't. I don't understand. I don't understand the mindset of I did not earn this. I didn't do anything. I'm going to try and rob these people.
Well, I've never been, luckily, never been desperate enough in life to feel like that was the answer to get out of it. Travis Kelce, his house broken into. Taylor Swift was in town as well. He had $20,000 in cash stolen from his house. I told him to stop keeping it underneath the bed.
$20K for Kelce is
Stop
like,
keeping
that's
the-
not even you keep it. $20K for Kelce is like you keep in
that was
like a drawer.
That was his go bag.
That's his
that
go
was
bag.
his like, if we need to take a trip real quick, let me just grab the 20 G's. I told him though, just don't keep it under the mattress. Put it in the safe.
That's
or
like
something,
us
you know?
keeping like $200 that are probably even
I don't
less.
even do that.
Yeah, but no, it's probably even less. Like you know, you have like $100, like just in case.
Look, if you're gonna break into my house, you better find my kid's piggy bank if you want cash. You better go and search for the damn piggy bank. And let me tell you, you're going to be disappointed with all the IOUs you find in there from my wife and I already raiding his piggy bank for different. Oh, we need cash real quick. Can you go grab, go find a 20, write an IOU in there. You're going to open that thing up like IOU 20. IOU 50, IOU 100. What the hell are these guys stealing from their kids? We're not. We're borrowing. We have full plans of paying that back.
The kids' bank, yeah, the bank of
Bank of Everett.
Yeah.
That's right.
It sounds fancy. If someone broke into my house, they'd be like, "Wow, I actually feel bad for this guy. You know what? I'm gonna mow his lawn. You know what? I'm gonna do something nice for this guy.
No, I'm actually gonna take the stuff that I stole from the other house and just leave it
Just
here.
You know
for him.
what? I'll
Feel
clean
bad
his
for him.
fridge.
Yeah.
You know what? No one wants to clean a fridge.
Yeah.
I'll clean his fridge.
But yes, besides the self-deprecation for us, scary, frustrating, disappointing. Yeah, you hate to have that happen in this town because, you know, put down roots. Of course, you know, Kelsey's house could be broken into in Cleveland, you know, Nashville. Patrick's house could have been broken into in Dallas, you know, and wherever it might be. So it's just, frustrating, disappointed, and clearly targeted. Like, I don't think there's, you know, as they say in law enforcement, there's no such thing as a coincidence. There's a coincidence you're investigating as to why that's not a coincidence, probably. Their house being broken into with the Monday Night Football game going on, them not being there, that's not a coincidence. That's targeted for them. Andy Reid talked about Wanya Morris, and this is something that I think we'll continue to talk about until the Chiefs make a move or simply say they are moving forward with Kingsley Suamataia as the backup tackle. Or maybe the move is that Lucas Niang is called up from the practice squad.
Sure.
You know, maybe that's the move that he's activated this week. I don't know. But I know this. The move cannot be if Wanya Morris leaves the game on Sunday, the answer cannot be Kingsley Suamataia entering the game. If that's the answer, then ask a different question. That's the answer if the question is, who do we not want to put in the game right now? Kingsley, answer. You got it. There's the answer. But if the answer is who's going in right now, it can't be Kingsley Suamataia. So with Wanya Morris and the bone bruise, that seems like it's not something going away anytime soon because looking at the schedule, they don't have a bye until hopefully week 19.
I mean, that 3 games in 10 or 11 days,
No doubt.
you're going to have to try and figure something out because that's not a plan, just hoping that a guy with a bone bruise is going to be able to play every single snap. I mean, we hope he does.
Especially if he tweaked it, yesterday.
Yeah.
And he didn't tweak it the week before he came out because of the tackle eligible play.
Yes.
In which Kingsley came in for the one snap. But if at any point hey, you tweak that knee a little bit, that bone bruise, and now you're out. And he was in severe pain. I mean, they went over there. They did the stability test again. He's like the knee again. They went over, did that. Blue tent, stationary bike. Yeah. And then Andy Reid said, we need you. Hey, can you play? Here's a crutch. Go in there and play with crutches. Okay, try. Here's a wheelchair, Paul Pierce. We will wheel you out there. We need you right now because that's going to be better than what we're getting right now from a guy who is standing. You're on a stationary bike. He's standing stationary. He's not even actually moving. He's not even on a bike. He's just running in place. He's like the runners at a stoplight. They don't want to stop or let the heart rate down, so you got to keep running until that walk sign comes up for him. That's Kingsley. He's moving his feet, but not actually doing anything. Motion doesn't necessarily mean you're advancing. Okay, you're just treading water. So they go to him and say, we need you, because they did. They needed him in that moment to give even Mahomes a little bit of faith. I mean, I understand Patrick Mahomes is saying what he has to say.
Oh, of course.
When asked about the left tackle, said, I believe in them because I see how hard they work. Sometimes I have to get rid of the ball sooner. I hold it too long. There's Patrick Mahomes saying MVS dropped the ball because I needed to throw it a little bit shorter. This is Mahomes saying, I should have got rid of the ball. And apparently getting rid of the ball sooner for Patrick is to punch it as it snapped back to him. Because that's there were a couple of snaps where that was the only thing he could have done to get rid of the ball quicker, is just as the snap is coming back from Creed, just to punch it right back into Creed's butt. Just pow. I got rid of the ball earlier. Pa-pa. I did not get sacked. There you go, Kingsley. I got your back.
Where was he punching it?
Punching the ball right into his butt. Right into the backside. Right or left cheek. It doesn't matter. Pick one.
Right in the butt. That's all I could think about was the
right in the butt.
The Jeopardy thing.
That's right.
Dylan, there's no way of you finding that, is it? I don't
know. I know where it's at, but I'm gonna have to add what you said to that clip. For Friday.
Of course we will.
Wait, me or Jason? Yeah, Jason.
Yes, everybody.
Thank you.
All of us together.
Not me. I
you
for
were the
once,
one that said it.
Son of a!
Yeah, you got out over your skis there.
I'm so bad at.
But it is
cuts.
Like Mahomes does take a lot of responsibility for other people's mistakes.
Correct.
On this offense, and he also takes responsibility for his mistakes in that missing Xavier Worthy twice, and even said the throw against Tampa Monday night that could have been better. But especially the one that he missed and threw out of bounds against the Broncos, that he said, that double move, and then he got over the top and he worked and he got back on the red line. He did exactly what he was supposed to do to get back on the red line, and I threw it out of bounds. Because I can promise you, if Xavier Worthy was not on the red line and was running down as remember Aaron Rodgers was mad at Mike Williams, for not running the red line, for getting closer to the hash, which then clogged everything up, and then where Aaron Rodgers threw it was like, you were supposed to be 10 yards the other way.
Mike Williams sure looked decent when he caught the game-winning touchdown from Russell Wilson.
I'll tell you what, Russell Wilson still has that deep ball. Russell Wilson still has that touch on the deep
You know
pass.
who doesn't?
Justin
Aaron Rodgers.
Fields. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect offense for him, too, with Pickens and Williams
I
now.
said
No
it.
doubt.
Everyone gave me a hard time.
I'll still give you a hard time just in general. Just as a general way of life. That's
man,
what we do.
It's fair. It's just
How
being dudes.
How does a guy know that you care about him if you're not making fun of them? There is literally no other way to show affection for a man and let him know that you care about him unless you're making fun of him. That's how I was brought up. I'd love for anybody to show me a different way of showing another male that you care about him besides making fun of them. We're all on the same page with that. But he still got the great touch on the deep throws. But Mahomes saying, he got back to the red line, did what he was supposed to do. And I think this is where you can be an optimist or you can be a pessimist. You can be the glass is half full, glass is half empty. Now, reality is we'll just acknowledge how much liquid is actually in the glass, whether it's half full, half empty.
Is it beer? Is it whiskey? What can I drink it?
If they would have lost to Denver, there would have been a lot of whiskey drinking.
Yeah.
Okay? They won, so it was champagne.
Ah, okay, there we go.
There we go. A lot of bubbly. The pro and the con to this, the glass half empty, is they just can't connect. They just can't connect. Whatever's going on, they can't do it. Xavier Worthy runs the right route. Mahomes missed him. Mahomes puts it in the right spot. Xavier Worthy didn't do his job. It's just, get through the year, go into the offseason, and get better from that. It's just not working out right now. And maybe the issues with Xavier Worthy that were there, we glossed over because of the speed. Glass half empty. Glass half full is, dude, they've had 3 weeks or the last 2 weeks and the Chargers game that they did connect on in which there would be 40-plus yard touchdowns with Xavier Worthy this year. So glass half full would be, if Xavier Worthy keeps getting open, well, then good luck defenses. Mahomes is going to get it. All right, he's going to start hitting it. Okay, Mahomes is going to start connecting. He is not as inaccurate on the deep throws as he has been this year. Because, again, he dimed that to Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
And we've seen Joe Burrow's been diming it all year on the deep pass to Jamar Chase. And
anyone not named Jermaine Burton.
Yeah. Bo Nix, perfect throw to Cortland Sutton on the 3rd and 1 touchdown to beat Trip McDuffie. I mean, that was a beautiful drop in the bucket for Bo Nix. We haven't seen that except one time with Xavier Worthy and Mahomes, and there have been opportunities. What's more likely to happen? The opportunities drying up, Mahomes and Xavier Worthy opportunities being there and they just still can't connect, or the opportunities remaining and they start connecting on these.
Yeah.
I'm going to take option 3, and maybe that's glass half full. Maybe that's rose-colored, Chiefs-colored glasses, pie in the sky. But that's also history of this offense, that quarterback, and players that have speed. And it ain't like Xavier Worthy is MVS getting open and just dropping the ball thrown right to him, although he didn't do that this past weekend. MVS was awesome. But if Mahomes would have thrown a perfect pass to Xavier Worthy on Sunday and Xavier Worthy just dropped it, I'd be way more concerned than he threw it out of bounds and Xavier Worthy didn't get a chance. Because Xavier Worthy has tracked the football. And that was not an easy catch against the Chargers.
Correct.
That touchdown.
Yeah.
There was an arm in there. He brought it down, secured it, fell 50 yards in the air. He tracked that thing, caught it, brought it down, getting hit the ground, secured it. I mean, he's not Butterfingers.
I've said for a couple weeks now, and I know folks will be angry with Xavier Worthy, and it's you actually have to have production. It's not about the underlying all the time, but he is a rookie, and 2 things. He gets open, and Mahomes looks his way. That's all you need to know about production going forward. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
He didn't look at Sky Moore. Sky Moore never got open. He doesn't look at a lot of guys deep, but he looks at Xavier Worthy deep. There is something there for the future to be positive about.
And both of those drives that he missed Xavier Worthy on resulted in punts and 0 points. The drive he missed Kelsey on resulted in 3 points. So that's 7, 14, that's 18 points that was left on the board with Mahomes missing a wide open receiver. I don't think that's going to happen very often moving forward. He's not playing his best football right now. We acknowledge that. But he's not playing his best football, and they're 9-0. So I'm going to fall on the historical side of the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play. We'll figure it the F out the rest of the season. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. College football playoff rankings, week 2 came out last night. We'll talk a little bit more about that with Mick Schaefer. KU gets the win over Michigan State. Bill Self win number 591. And he would like the T-shirts that the players were wearing. Here's what I would say. I would say to Bill Self, I think maybe people in the athletic department could just make you more shirts for your family. You know, he said in the locker room. I don't know if you saw the speech or not, but
no, I've not heard this yet.
He came in the locker room and they were sort of waiting around. They were all sitting down on the chairs, right? It's kind of like the rookie that hits his first home run and the dugout just gives him the silent treatment, right?
Yeah.
So they were sitting down and Bill Self walks in. And then Hunter Dickinson comes out of nowhere with the water bucket and pours it, and then everybody pours their water bottles on him, and then they start chanting 591, and then he gives a speech, and he was like, this just means that I'm old and I've had a lot of good players, but I will say I got a big family. I'm gonna need those shirts that you guys are wearing when you're done with them. They were 591 shirts.
Yeah.
Like I think they can make you more, Bill.
Bill, I think they can make you more.
I think they can make more shirts.
Just go ahead and ask. Unless it's somewhere in his contract, we'll give you all you want. You have like the lifetime contract, but we're not making you shirts.
Although Travis Goff told Seren a couple of weeks ago that one of the things they're looking at is maybe all of the gear that they get, the Adidas gear that they get, maybe it shouldn't just be hey, this coach is going to get hundreds of dollars worth of this, and this coach is going to get hundreds of dollars worth of gear. And like maybe it's something we need to look at, that we've got all this gear and these coaches wearing all these $100. He didn't say this, but quarter zips and shirts that are pretty expensive if you're just going to go to the store and buy them. He's like, it's something that we're examining. Like, is that a good use of resources of that money, or that going to the players in terms of those that sort of merchandise or whatever? Because they're getting a number of that in terms of the contract. Like, hey, here's the amount that you're getting through the contract. Okay, well, here's the amount we're allocating to the coaching staff.
They could also just try and give it to like Dylan or myself or you.
Well, Dylan got that shirt from Bill Self, that Adidas KU shirt. Bill Self gave it to him.
Is that true, Dylan? Was that hand delivered to you by Bill Self?
Off Bill Self's back.
Yep.
Yeah, Bill Self took it off his back at. Was that the Blasters
event?
Like
a weekly
go to?
subscription thing that I get in the mail every Monday.
That's right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Is it always off his back too? Like he sends you a video of
game-worn polos.
It's one every 4.
One every 4. Okay.
Practice-worn polos is
you
what it
pay
is.
extra for that level. That tier is a little extra.
Does he go tarps off? Does he say tarps off?
No.
Okay.
He has class.
No, it's just.
You set me up. You teed me up for that one.
Easy. Oh, my goodness. That was a fastball right down the middle to Giancarlo. And he can.
Pain.
All I know is pain. All I feel is rain. How can I maintain with that stuff on my brain? We want a break? Get ready for Mick Schaefer? Let's take a break. We'll come back one more segment because we're catching up with the press conferences. And then we'll talk with Mick Schaefer about local college football. And then also we spent the first hour talking about the latest in the stadium issue fatigue, in the latest leader in the clubhouse for the Royals to have their stadium, the now what would be 7th newest leader for the new site for the Royals. We'll talk about that with Mick Schaefer as well. More Zone next. Talk with Mick Schaefer coming up next. Get his thoughts on the newest leader in the Royals location for stadium, being the Sprint campus, old Sprint campus. We'll talk about that. College football playoff rankings are out. One thing we know for sure is that they think the Big Ten is essentially the AFC North. According to 4 of the top 5 being Big Ten teams, with 2 of them having a combined 0 top 25 wins.
Steelers even dressed like Iowa. So.
That's exactly right. We'll talk about that. Mick Schaefer comes up next. We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB on this Wednesday edition. Rainy, cloudy, gloomy. Yet everything locally keeps winning. So what's the point, huh? That's the only cloud part of our life right now. KU wins last night, and they beat North Carolina on Friday. KU and Mizzou win in football. The Chiefs beat the Broncos. The Current winning.
The other shoe's about to drop.
Which shoe?
The other one that hasn't dropped yet.
Oh yeah,
the one that has all the losses in it.
Yeah.
And then
That's
does one shoe have wins and the other one have losses?
Yeah,
is that how it
that's
works?
it.
Like, how did that saying
it was
come
an,
up when
it
the
was
other
a,
shoe dropped?
It was a Midwestern fan, right? He cheered for the local teams around here, and he knew. He coined it long ago.
No, you knew that when, so you could hear it on your ceiling when the other shoe dropped, that means that person was home. And it was something to do with like dating somebody. So the first shoe dropped. The second shoe drop means they're home and they've taken their shoes off and they ain't going anywhere.
That sounds like that might be the actual case. If you looked that up. Okay, cool.
It originated in the late 19th and early 20th century in New York City.
I want to know this.
Bleep those guys. They try to take the New York strip. It's KC Strip. It's where apartments had bedrooms stacked on top of each other. It was common to hear an upstairs neighbor take off their shoes and drop them on the floor, one after the other.
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Oh, God. Yeah. Twice on the pipes if the answer is
so.
No.
Basically, it meant that you could it would let people know they're quieting down for the evening, and you would no longer have to hear them clomping above you.
Okay. Oh, thank God the other shoe dropped. See, that sounds like it's a good thing.
But what if you just like gingerly placed your how are they dropping their shoes back in the day?
Really loud shoes apparently and
clogged. So what if they wanted to mess with people? Boom, and then delicately lay the other shoe down. These people are never going to know that we're here.
They're just waiting.
They're never going to know that we're sitting on the couch right now. Or excuse me, the easy chair. They're never going to understand that we are sitting on the divan, whatever the hell they call these stupid things
divan
back in the day.
What if they had...
Never going to know that we're sitting on the HN.
HN.
I speak in football terms.
Yeah, you do.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I'm a sports guy. God.
No,
sorry,
my wife has Donald H. on her fantasy football team.
Donald, yes. It's actually called, it's pronounced Devin.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Devin Dotson
Devin
H. Well, that's an oldie. That goes back to 2019.
That was like your first year.
What's funny about that one, we don't even know what his name is as of last year because he changed it like 3 times back and forth from
it was like,
H-An to H-An.
Because it was like Devin H-An, and then it was like, no, actually it's H-An. Okay. Then it's Devon H-An. Okay, so now we got it right. We were pronouncing both of them wrong. Just like we were calling him Josh Uche.
Oh,
so Joshua Uche.
I still struggle. Okay, all three of you at the same time.
Yep.
Say the last name of number 51 for the Chiefs in 3, 2, 1.
Dana.
Yeah.
Mike Dana.
I thought it was Dana.
Mike Dana.
Thought it was Dana.
I don't know who's
little
right.
delay back here.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. You're on.
And I don't trust the coaches of the Chiefs because they always say guys' names wrong, just like it's like Kelson, whatever, and they'll
Sharkarius.
Well, Leo Chanel's gone back.
Pistachio.
Leo Chanel's gone back and forth. It was Chanel, then it was Chanel.
Yeah.
I pronounce him Chanel.
Trent McDuffie called him Steve Spagnuolo for his whole rookie season.
Karlophagus as well.
Karlophagus, that's right. Andy kept saying Karlophagus. True. That is not how you pronounce his name.
Uche said it the other day when he came in, and I was like, okay, he played with him at Michigan. This is a straightforward guy. He's not messing around. He's new. He's going to say it right. I'm going to go with what he said, and I can't remember which way he said it.
He said Danae, and that was odd. It was like, oh, my God.
We're confused on Mike Dana, but we all understand Kingsley Suamataia.
Yes,
we're like, oh,
exactly.
yeah, we get that one. Yeah, it's easy.
Well, how else would you pronounce that name? I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Mike Schaefer's with us.
Mitch Shatner.
Hey, Mike.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
How often have you been called Mike in your life, by the way?
Quite a bit. Not as much as Mitch. Mitch most of the time. Because I'll say my name quickly, Mick Schaefer, and it sounds like it runs together.
What about Ashley? Ashley Schaefer, BMW.
Right, from Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
All-time great character.
Yeah, well, you have Mitchapaloozas a lot at your place when you're home alone for a few days. Family's all out of town.
Bring your green hat.
That's right. Snoop-a-loop. We talked in the first hour, Mick, about the news that came down yesterday and people talking about the Sprint campus, 119th and Knoll and Glenwood being the next location for the Royals Stadium. This is now the quote-unquote leader for the location for the Royals. My reaction to that was, man, I just have so much fatigue that it's not really even,
I don't have the energy for this.
It's not even really registering. It's like, man, just tell me where you're going. And then, because I went and looked back, I quizzed Jack and Sterling and Dylan on this, and I'll quiz you as well. December 2022, the Kansas City Royals.
Yes. Oh, you're not done.
Damn it. Yes, it did exist. December 2022, the Kansas City Royals put out a picture of downtown and blue shades over the different site locations they were examining and thinking about moving their new stadium to downtown. Do you know how many site locations there were on that initial picture, December 2022?
Well, I want to say 3.
Okay.
Is that wrong?
That's what Jack said. Sterling, you said 4?
I said 4.
And
do you think
Dylan
I
said
was
4.
off? Do you think Jack
was not right. Neither was Dylan and Sterling. The answer, Mick, they announced 14 site locations in December 2022 of all the different places it could go. Then
all downtown?
Yeah. Then it
Is that
was
many areas downtown?
No kidding.
Well,
It's like one exit for downtown.
One was just a local bodega. Actually, there was
Yes,
it was
right.
small. It was a miniature one.
Well, I remember the one was at the
East Village.
East
was the
Village,
main one.
and they kept saying, "Oh, it'll be East Village." I'm like, I don't know where that is. Tell me what buildings and streets. I know
Inside the
those.
loop.
No one. I've been here for 20 plus years, and I even talked to longtime Kansas City, and it's like, yeah, no one's ever called that the East Village. They're just assigning the name to it now or dusting it off. But then I learned where East Village was.
Then it became like East Village, and then Frank White was pushing pretty hard for the 18th and Vine area for that location. Then all of a sudden, North Kansas City came out of nowhere.
Swooped in.
And then on August of 2023, the Royals in a press conference announced that East Village and North Kansas City were the 2 finalists, and they would choose by the end of September. And then February 13th, they chose the Crossroads.
That's right. Which, to me, that's the best spot. Where they picked was the best. But that was just out of nowhere. Oh, and by the way, the vote is in 6 minutes.
And then on March 27th, they changed the plans because they had to keep a street open.
Right. Yes. What was that street? It was the, oh gosh, we did so many stories. It was Oak Street?
I think it was
Oak Street, I think.
Oak Street, yeah. So then it's like, well, that runs through right field. That would be odd. Well, don't worry, vote for it.
One of the personalities,
Yes.
the Piccadillys of the stadium is that we have a street running through
Yes,
it.
Houston had a flag and a
Keep your
ramp.
head on a swivel, right fielder.
Right fielder is also playing Frogger, so that's going to be great.
Hunter
He's
Renfroe.
out for the season. What happened? He got hit by a car. It was
Yeah, Hunter Renfroe's peripherals were just not good enough.
Mookie Betts. There's a lot more danger in Kansas City than in
By the
New
way,
York.
if Hunter Renfroe's still around in 2031, stuff has gone incredibly wrong or incredibly right, maybe,
Or,
I guess.
you know,
Yeah, really
fucking
good.
you.
It's
Maybe
like a
he's taken
Julio
off.
Franco situation
right,
where he's
yes.
just
So on March 27th, they're
43.
like, hey, about this whole thing,
47.
we'll figure it out, but in 10 days, go and vote for it. We got you. Also, we haven't figured out purchasing all of this land and all of the small business owners and buying them out, and the Crossroads is boycotting. And
yes, by the way, your
and-
property taxes are still going up 80%.
And Mayor Lucas is not on the side of the plan yet. But totally go vote for it. And then after that failed, June of this year, the West Bottoms came in with hitting the home run in Missouri from Kansas in right field. Hit it in Kansas, home run in right field, lands in Missouri.
That's right, yeah.
Then
So
August,
are we up to like 18 locations now?
August, Washington Square Park came into existence.
Another place I didn't know where.
Main Street and Grand, just
You
north
said-
of Pershing.
Yep, now I know.
Then the Meridian site, 435 in Antioch. And
Whoa,
now
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Brookridge.
Brookridge.
which I said they're going to have to buy me out.
Yeah, he's gonna.
I don't think I
himself-
knew about that location. I'm tapped out.
He's gonna chain himself to the fifth hole tree.
The fifth hole tree. I said you're not taking this down.
Over my dead body.
No, we're not. We're gonna put that at shortstop. Actually, Bobby's gonna be like on a limb.
They all wanted the Meridian site, but one person would not be bought out of his country club membership. That was Sterling. He held out.
Buy me, baby.
And now we have the
You can
Sprint
totally
campus.
buy me. You can buy me.
Oh, absolutely.
very,
I got a price.
And now we
lower
have-
than you think, too.
Yes. Now we have the a membership to another club. How about that? Now we have the Sprint campus, 119th and Knoll and Greenwood.
So
or
they're
Glenwood and Knoll.
So the last two have been Kansas side.
Yeah. And now Sprint campus, old Sprint campus, is now the new leader, which is now the 7th leader we've had for the Royals site.
Dude, in the clubhouse, it's like a wild day at the U.S. Open.
I mean, I will say, like, anytime you lose an election, a vote, you need to find what the lessons are, get it right. Find what the lessons are. Get it right about finding the lessons, because a lot of people take lessons away from lost elections, and they're not the right lessons to be learned. I do think a lesson that might have been learned from John Sherman is, we reached out a while ago to have him on. The program's reached out a number of times. New Day has reached out, and every time the Royals are like, yeah, John Sherman's not available. Yet he ain't talking like they did as much all throughout 2023. I mean, our deadline is in 3 weeks. Another press conference. Well, end of September, we're going to have this figured out. A press conference in October. Well, we want to have this before Thanksgiving. Press conference in November. Well, before the first of the year, we're going to decide. Like, okay, just stop talking, figure it out behind the scenes, and get it done. And I think they've actually done that behind the scenes, because he's not going on shows and talking, and they're saying thanks but no thanks right now.
Do you think he had to do that last year because he felt like the product on the field required it, and now this year maybe he doesn't feel like that?
I think they were selling something that they quickly realized was not popular as much as they thought it was.
Yeah.
I think they found out this was not going to be an overwhelming support, and they needed to go out and sell it, and they spent a boatload of money.
They Velcroed themselves to the Chiefs too.
Yeah, right.
And so on their own.
And not surprising, when it
failed,
the Chiefs immediately said, we're split.
Yeah.
We're going about this our separate ways.
I imagine that, the Chiefs were bringing the Royals up, and the Royals are maybe anchoring the Chiefs down a little bit.
But the Chiefs were only bringing an activation zone and a bridge.
The Chiefs had a first grader do their renderings.
That was an issue, too.
Yeah.
There was no
Olivia was her name.
Well, she
Blue
won.
Springs,
She won the
contest.
The contest. You should have seen the other ones.
The trees, they were happy trees, though.
They were so happy.
The son with a smiley face in the corner, they had to take that out.
She loves Taco Bell, so she had a bridge right to Taco Bell.
Guys, the elite 1% are going to have new suites, okay? Vote for this.
All good. We're going to get activated. But they announced right after the vote's over, hey, we're separating. And then Kansas this summer gets involved with the Star Bonds being passed with overwhelming support, which
Kansas gets it done.
The Sprint campus would be Star Bonds as well. So it wouldn't have to go to a vote. It would be Star Bonds that would, handle that as well.
I don't know what they are. I know what it stands for now.
Yeah.
But it's magic money in the air, I think.
That's exactly what it is.
Terrific artificial.
Nailed it.
Renderings.
Yes.
Reality.
Does sports
artificial
betting,
reality.
Does sports betting, passing in Missouri, do you think that affects anything? Because
I think it can.
Because I think that would have been
more money in the coffers.
It's more money
it'd
there.
been an advantage for Kansas for having sports betting, but now I don't think it would matter.
The difference being, in Kansas, when they passed the sports betting, they had the bring pro sports to Kansas as a part of the revenue from Missouri is sending their revenue to the schools, as was part of the plan, as was part of bringing this thing together. Hey, public schools, more funding. The revenue we will get from gaming in Missouri will go to that. Kansas specifically created, we are going to have a fund that brings pro sports to Kansas, which will be a part of the Star Bonds. Because part of the sales pitch from Kansas to the Chiefs and the Royals is that, hey, if you get something publicly funded in Missouri and you need renovations, you got to go ask them again to vote on it.
Yeah.
The Star Bonds and the legalized gambling pro sports budget will also then go, the way they're presenting it, will go to handle renovations and upkeep. So it wouldn't go back to the taxpayers of, you wouldn't have to vote on it anyway. So there are some clear positives for the Royals and the Chiefs to go to Kansas. The negative for the Chiefs would be they'd probably have to double their investment. In Missouri, to renovate, probably $300 million, which is what they wanted to put in. You want to go over to Kansas with the Star Bonds, you're probably looking at $800 or $900 million, and find the money there. And they've already said they're not interested in private equity. They're not interested in doing that, which other teams are doing to buy. So what are they going to do with that? It's just a matter, everything's going to have issues going along with it. My biggest issue with the Sprint campus location is the whole thing that started this was to go downtown. That's the whole reason was we're leaving Kaufman because
there's no reason.
Downtown baseball.
There's no reason to go from one suburb to the other.
Downtown baseball. We got a ballpark district. We're gonna put $1 billion into the ballpark district, and we're gonna reinvest to
North Kansas City was too far out from downtown.
Well, they said downtown.
I like North Kansas City's presentation, though. I think that looks pretty sweet because that would actually be like a full ballpark district. When the Royals aren't playing, you could take your family there and go to the parks and other things too, and an amphitheater that would be there too. Like that rendering in that space looked pretty enticing, and you would have the backdrop of downtown further out, but you'd have the skyline there. A little bit.
But I always thought, too, I mean, part of downtown is like you're catching so much foot traffic, right? I mean, how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people work downtown to where, like, okay, it's 6 o'clock, my plans fell through.
Yeah.
I'm going to go catch a game. And you rely on those types of people all the time to where, like, you wouldn't have that in North Kansas.
Well, did they confirm which downtown? Because it could be downtown Leawood or downtown Overland Park.
Great point.
They said downtown, and they're like, no, we actually meant like 81st and
I love the
Antioch.
old, like, downtown, like, downtown Overland Park is cool. Like,
yeah, it's awesome.
80th and like Metcalf.
I mean, they talked about revitalizing
downtown Stanley.
Maybe it was over the downtown Lee Summit. Like,
There
come
you
on,
go.
let's revitalize some things. Let's put the Royal Stadium downtown
They
Lee
just
Summit.
said downtown. I don't know if they specified
which downtown.
semantics.
Yeah, no, I think they're pretty specific, right? We've learned in whatever they've said. I'm exhausted in this whole deal.
I know.
When I got the email today, I was like, okay, where?
That's my.
Where's it now? I don't want to look.
That's my takeaway. Is like that. I just sense so much fatigue of. Tell me where it's going to
Apathy
be.
can't be a good thing for a vote.
Yeah. Well, and also like we just got through a full election cycle. I
Yeah.
mean, the last 5 months have just been exhausting. And the last month and a half of every commercial during a sporting event.
Actually, don't listen to that. We'll take more commercial ads, please. Thank you very much.
I don't think they're going to unless there's a special runoff or something like that. I'm not sure. But like my preference, well, my first preference is in the metro area. I'll drive to wherever it is. Okay, if it's in Kansas, if it's North Kansas City, if it's 119th and
Priority number one. That's preseason. Everybody stay healthy, right?
Exactly.
That's
There you
number
go.
one, right?
There's my number one option. Number two would be Washington Square Park. Like, I think that is quintessential downtown.
Right in the middle of Kansas side,
Yes.
Missouri side downtown
Right.
as well.
You've got Union Station right there. You've got the Liberty Memorial, World War I Museum. You've got Crown Center. You boost Crown Center. You showcase Union Station. There are lots of parking garages. There are hotels there. You only have to worry about demolishing one building in which Blue Cross and Blue Shield is already moving out of. So that is going to be a vacant building that you're taking down. You would have connection with the streetcar. So now you've opened up 10,000 other parking
Blue
spaces.
Cross, Blue Shield, Blue Bats, Blue
Bats?
uniforms.
Yeah,
because they'll be there.
The Blue Boys are playing some ball.
That's right, yeah. Boys in blue.
Blue Balls are playing some boys. The streetcar would be connected there, so you've got tens of thousands of other parking spots that are open, all throughout the streetcar, free, public.
So in your scenario, is Crossroads off the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, too difficult. There's too many different hands in the cookie jar. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many people that you.
I like that location.
There's too many different people that you got to purchase that. There's like 2 owners of land in the Washington Square Park area that you've got to deal with, and one of those building that you're gonna just demolish anyway, that they move out of. All you got to do is just not have a tenant move in there, and you're good. And you would have.
Is that still considered downtown over there?
Yeah, and you would have the skyline in left field.
Beat me to it. I was going to say.
Yeah, and behind home
Great
plate,
scenic views.
Behind home plate, you'd have the Liberty Memorial.
I'll take it.
Yep.
Yeah, sign me up.
I just and how often when people come to Kansas City,
Pretty close to I-35 too. I mean, you closer to I-35 than 70.
You can exit northeast southwest there to get to whether it's 71 or go north if you want to. But there's different ways of getting out of there, and I think that makes a lot of sense. There are hurdles there too because it is a park.
You got to give Missouri one more try, right? You
I'm
give it a one
totally
more
fine
run in
with that.
Missouri, but if Jackson County says no yet again, then okay.
Well, they
it's
may not
Kansas.
have to. Like if Mayor Lucas, who was on with New Day this morning, and Stephen St. John said that their plan is they don't want to completely go around any public vote. They're not trying to just eliminate that, but if they can create a package of city incentives to bypass Jackson County vote and have to extend the 3/8 cent tax, that it would be these are already things that are in the budget. We just allocate them to this part, and then Missouri kicks in with Governor-elect Kehoe, who was very much in favor of keeping the teams in Missouri. The other 2 in the primary for the Republican nominee for governor, not in favor of too bad, get the hell out, we're not helping you. Governor Kehoe was like, hey, priority, let's do it. And Mayor Lucas has said he's already met with them in dealing with this. And so if they have a way to where they can bypass the voting.
So they could extend the tax without
It wouldn't be
a vote.
extending the tax.
Okay,
It would be
it'd
the
be-
tax
okay.
expires, and there would be. He just said a package of incentives that would be something that's already in the budget that they can then allocate to that. Again, they work in government. I just want you to tell me where it is.
Which
and what are the
level of
plans.
government? Because how many layers
It'd be-
of
it would
Jackson
be-
County
be without
government
Jackson
are there?
County.
Like 19?
It's like an onion.
There's
It'd be-
so many. You can fold them back.
The county wouldn't be involved at that
like a
point.
bloomin' onion,
Yeah.
The
actually.
county wouldn't own the stadium. You know, it would be Kansas City and the state, and I would prefer that. But again, I don't want anybody to get injured this season. That's my main preference. Is my preseason nobody get injured.
Stay in the metro area.
And stay in the metro area.
How long do the Star Bonds offer? Is that available?
It goes to June.
Okay.
And then they can extend it by 30 days, and then I think they can keep extending it for however hell long they want to
Right.
until they get an answer from the Royals and Chiefs.
And that
that's,
also
that's my assessment on government.
That benefits the Missouri side and the Royals and Chiefs, because not only do the Royals and Chiefs get to wait for Missouri side to come with a better offer, Missouri also gets a chance to present a better offer, and they're doing that,
Yeah.
trying right now.
That's
at
what the
least.
Jackson County voters presented to the Royals and Chiefs is leverage. We've turned this down. Okay, now Kansas is involved.
Yeah.
Now you've got these two fighting over what's the better deal.
Yep.
For them, I think they'll have two pretty good I think they'll have options on the table.
That's why I think sports
Chiefs will have
gambling
it.
got
Yeah.
pushed up onto the ballot so
As
we
it
could compete with
You
the
know?
fact that Kansas will be able to put a casino in any stadium they build. And now if Missouri can do that, I don't know
you
what the
got that.
difference
Put
is.
that casino in Union Station.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Obviously,
Am
the
I,
taxes
though?
is different, but
Am I
This
though?
all sounds promising, and next week we'll find about a Grandview location. Or
Which-
maybe
They have a
Liberty.
Grandview.
Yeah.
right in the middle of the triangle.
Lock Lloyd. They're gonna have to go to Lock Lloyd.
Lock Lloyd.
Lock Lloyd is where it's the house that Mahomes built. I told you guys.
Honestly,
you know?
all he has to do is just say something. Just in that voice.
It's here.
Yeah.
It's here.
Where's the stadium gonna go?
It's here.
I'm here.
It's here. You're here.
It's a map of where. I think you're at the mall. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue talking with Mick Schaefer. KU wins last night against Michigan State. K-State in action against LSU tomorrow night. The college football playoff rankings. K-State coming in at number 20. Mizzou number 24. K-State not controlling their own destiny. Colorado is. They do. We'll see what they do against Utah this weekend. KU heading to BYU. And the College Football Playoff Selection Committee does not like the Big 12. And take your top 25 wins and stuff it, because these other people are easier on the eyes. All right, we head up until 2 o'clock. Program comes your way at 2 o'clock when we are done. Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold at 6 o'clock. Arrowhead Pride with Pete Sweeney and Jack Johnson coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. She's on the mic with Bethany Bowman at 8 o'clock, and then Covell takes you the rest of the way starting at 9 o'clock tonight. Thank you to Cynthia Freeland joining us in the show earlier today. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, and DeAndre Hopkins talked. Mick, the last time we talked was Monday after the Chiefs knocked off the Denver Broncos in the luckiest way that anybody could have ever lucked out. Or maybe it's not luck, or maybe it's some attention to detail that goes along with it. I guess if you would have just shanked the field goal, that'd be way more luck. But Andy Reid talking today about Wanya Morris, and it puts even more emphasis, Mick, on the Chiefs need to figure out what they're going to do at left tackle this week and moving forward, because Andy Reid said about Wanya Morris that his knee was a bone bruise that he suffered a couple of weeks ago. He said he tweaked it. It happens. He tweaks it. He comes out of the game. They work on it. It calms down. He can go back in the game like a high ankle sprain. Hurts it, comes out, calms down, goes back in. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence that moving forward that Kingsley Suamata'i is fine on the bench because Wanya is going to stay in. It sounds like at any given play, which is true in general, but at any given play he can just tweak the knee, and now Kingsley's in the game? Like, that can't be the answer moving forward. That, to me, it puts even more sense of urgency on you've got to find somebody in the next couple days.
I mean, this is an obvious one.
Smith, Bakhtiari, Charles Leno Jr., Mick Schaefer. Like, there's a lot of people that I would say just bring them in.
A couple of my panelists on Sunday night on Sunday Sound Off were like, no, I mean, would you bring him in? Wanye's fine, yada, yada. I'm like, who are these guys? They're never coming back on.
No, I said I would bring him in. I would bring him in immediately, but
He's
not
there. He's the guy. He's your guy.
Not to start.
I'm not
over
on the
Wanya.
whole, like, oh, Wanye's been fine. I'm not even on Wanye's been fine bandwagon.
Well, then you're wrong. Wanya has been fine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, so you said it?
Yeah.
Dang it. I'm wrong.
Yep, that's
You are wrong. Wanya Morris has been fine. He's been okay. He's been fine. I've not said he's been great, but he's been pretty much what Donovan Smith was last time he
We
played
might
in
have
the
different
Chiefs.
definitions of fine, though.
Outside of the Donovan Smith in the playoffs, who was different, who I think everyone's saying, remember Donovan Smith in the playoffs? Yeah, he was great in the playoffs. What about during the regular season when he's doing basically the exact same performance as Wanya currently is?
Who do we talk more about in the season, Wanya Morris or Donovan Smith? Because that's kind of the litmus test.
Honestly, it may have been Donovan Smith during the regular season.
No.
Do we all have amnesia?
Last year or this year?
We talked about Donovan Smith a lot during the regular season. Playoffs, he was great. But I feel like people are glossing over the regular season of Donovan Smith.
I think it was a weekly topic like this is.
I just watch the ball, guys. I'm not watching left tackle ever play.
I thought Donovan Smith was fine last year. I think for the
Wait,
most
my
part,
definition of fine or Sterling's?
both.
Okay.
I think Wanya Morris, for the most part this year, has been fine, serviceable, passable, where it's not something that is the death knell. Like if Kingsley had to play every single snap for the next 3 or 4 weeks, yeah, I'm really concerned. I'm very, very concerned because that is not playable. It's not playable. With Wanya, all right, I don't feel like he's just going to whiff 3 times in a row. I don't feel like he's,
wasn't good enough to beat him out and win the job.
That's a question I would have for the folks in charge over there as
Or
to
maybe
why Kingsley started over Wanya Morris if it was that
Or a
quick to take
question
him
about
out.
motivation and a guy who's maybe not consistent out there, and you don't know what you're going to get with.
Or question about confidence and that he's completely lost right now. Kingsley.
No, I'm
seems to
talking
be.
about Wanya. And
I know,
maybe he wasn't as good as Kingsley. Maybe the coaches got it right early on, and then motivation. Okay, time to play. I'm gonna turn it up a notch.
Or Kingsley was. They saw Kingsley's development happening quicker than it has, and he's gone backwards between the ears, and he's lost, and he has no confidence, and now it's like he can't be in there.
Could be a situation.
Either way,
inside the dome, it's one thing. Between the ears, there's 2 of those. So
it's
between
true.
that.
And by the way,
it's the medulla oblongata that's keeping him from really excelling.
That's my mama says that's why alligators are
Nope.
so ornery.
Nope, all them
They
teeth
got
and
no
no
toothbrush.
toothbrush. All them teeth and no toothbrush.
Hey, what movie's that?
No matter if Wanya's fine or Kingsley or whatever, I think we're all in agreement that they need to bring in somebody. Like if that Donovan Smith is that Bakhtiari, I don't care. Like if Donovan Smith or if Wanya Morris is tweaking his knee and then leaving the game for a series or two, I need to have somebody where the answer is not Kingsley Suamataia to go in the game.
I have maybe a better in-house answer. I don't know why Joe Tooney is never more of a considered option at left tackle.
Because then you get worse at two spots.
Well, no, you get better at left tackle.
You get better at left tackle. He's better than Wanye.
Guy walked down Trey Hendrickson
You
for
were
an
on
entire
that
game.
Wanye fan
on
club.
on
Well,
short
no,
notice.
I think he gets unfairly
but
hated
Wanya's,
on.
No, but Wanya's not in the game. Wanya's already left the game.
That's my point. If Wanya Morris is out of the game,
That's the point. If
for
Wanya
a
Morris
game,
right,
not for the rest of the season.
But you don't get worse at two spots if Joe Tooney moves to left tackle to fill in for Kingsley.
You get better at left tackle.
Agreed.
That's the point. If Wanya leaves the game,
but
Joe
why wouldn't
Tooney's
you just
sliding
bring
over.
in at that point? Then you would bring in a Charles Leno, and by the way, Donovan Smith graded out actually worse last year than Wanya Morris has this year. Just wanted to prove a point there, Mick. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. But yes, David.
But I'm not going to let you answer. So go
David
ahead.
Bakhtiari makes a lot of sense.
I'll
My
just go
point
think
is,
my thoughts.
You would love to have Donovan Smith as a backup.
I agree.
You'd love to have Charles Leno as a backup. Bakhtiari, I think, makes some sense, but also he's played in 13 games over 3 seasons.
Agreed.
If you're trying to get the backup spot as a sure thing, a guy you can count on, I don't know if you can count on Bakhtiari.
Can we find the PFF grade for Joe Tooney when he found out 10 minutes before
We love
playing?
PFF grades when it fits our argument.
Well, I'm saying
100%
when he found out 10 minutes before the game, he had to face
and
Trey
I would say,
Hendrickson at left
I would
tackle.
say Donovan got dinged the most for holding penalties last year.
He
But
did
give
have
me
a
a
lot of
holding penalty over getting Patrick Mahomes killed.
Don't disagree with that. But you also can't hold if you don't touch him.
And actually, you
that's
hold
what
if
Kingsley was
you
doing.
hold, they ain't gonna call it for like another 2 or 3 plays.
Well, this Sunday, if Wanya Morris tweaks the bone bruise again, Joe Tooney's my answer at left tackle. And Caliendo or Norzad is my answer at guard. And I'm going with that until the Buffalo game's over or Wanya Morris is ready to come back in.
It made more
and then I'll
sense last year when
reassess.
you had Allegretti. It made more sense. Where like, oh, you were not dropping off much at left guard.
I mean, he had to play for it. They won a Super Bowl with Allegretti. They won a Super Bowl with Allegretti with a torn UCL in the game against the 49ers. But Joe Tooney got injured against the Bills, right? It was the Bills game or was it the Dolphins game that Joe Tooney tore his pec?
Joe Tooney, I looked it up just for you guys.
Yeah.
Joe Tooney graded out pretty good overall at left tackle, worse than his season long by a pretty wide margin at guard. He is one of the best guards in football.
What was that one game grade?
That
though?
one grade was an overall 70. His run block was pretty darn poor, but that's typically in Joe Tooney.
What's his pass
His
block?
pass block was an 80, and for the season at guard, he graded out basically a 90.
Yeah.
So it's a step back, obviously, of what you're getting
It's a step
production-wise.
back of what he does at guard, but it's a clear step forward
pretty
for a
damn
game
good
tackle. than
Yeah,
what
pretty
you get.
damn good at tackle. So, and that was also in 2021.
Yeah,
So
that's
that was
my,
3 years
That's
ago.
my point about like if Wanya goes down, you're not getting worse at two positions. You're getting better at one, and you're getting worse at left guard. So, but what would you rather be better at, left tackle or left guard? I'll try to
You
hide
also
the
have an
left
all-pro
guard.
center in Creed Humphrey to help out.
I mean, it's a sample size too. I mean, you have years and years of Tooney and his experience and knowing what to do in every situation, and he'll know his strengths, but also his weaknesses and what he can do against a Hendrickson, against a Crosby, whoever it's going to be, as opposed to were we even to double-digit starts for Wanye?
Didn't he have a broken
Did he
hand?
have 5 last year or something like that?
Didn't Tooney have a broken hand
Yeah.
at some point? He might have had it in that game, playing left tackle against
have.
Trey Hendrickson.
He
I'm
could
pretty sure he did have a broken hand that year.
Well, every other tackle was injured in that game, so might as well have Joe Tooney be injured there. But I mean, we've seen it. We've got one game of evidence that we've seen him go out there and hold his own for a game. Is it the answer? No, but bringing in a Donovan Smith or even a Bakhtiari that's played 13 games in the last 3 years. Last year he played one. They put him on the IR with the knee. You've got to see if that's healthy or not. They wouldn't sign him if they didn't think it was healthy. The year before that, he played 13 games and then had the emergency appendectomy, and he was done for the year. I don't think his appendix is going to burst again. I hope not. I don't know. Maybe it will. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to doctor school, okay? But in those 13 games, he's played at an all-pro level. That's it's a little different. Like, it's Bakhtiari. Can he play? Well, can he be available? That's a question. Can he play if he's in there? Yeah, he can play if he's in there.
I trust the Chiefs with any old dude who used to be good. This whole season.
But what it does is it gives them a
fountain of youth.
It gives them a get out of jail
Might
free
be
card.
pushing it, but I trust him.
Yeah. It gives
All
them
those guys in that Marino
good.
and Emmett Smith commercial, all those guys.
Jerry Rice, Randy
Definitely
Moss.
Randy Moss. I trust
Yeah.
him with Randy Moss coming back.
No, bringing in somebody like Donovan Smith, Bakhtiari, Charles Leno, it gives them a get-out-of-jail-free card to where if somebody goes down, you got another option before you're at Kingsley.
What's the price tag on those guys, too?
League
How much?
minimum. Prorated league minimum the rest of the way. So it can fit into the cap. You're fine. Bakhtiari wouldn't be joining the Chiefs for the money. He signed a $100 million contract a few years ago. So he got a lot of guaranteed dollars with that. So he's not signing with the Chiefs for, well, I want $10 million. Like, okay, well, nobody signed you yet. You'd be joining the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl.
And we'd be saying, Bakhtiari in for a Suamataia.
Yeah.
And we'd still be confused on Dana or Dana.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. College football playoff rankings came out last night.
Bow, bow.
And boy, does the committee love themselves some Big Ten.
It's like they're the SEC.
I mean, good night. Oregon, number 1. They're undefeated. They beat Ohio State at home, okay. Ohio State, number 2. Undefeated except
But
for the loss
the
to
fifth
Oregon.
seed?
Yeah, that's right. Because they wouldn't be projected as the
I
winner.
like them doing that to
Yeah.
where like they acknowledge that, okay, all these teams are playing each other. We might kind of have it
Yeah.
right. Maybe it's not just Oregon, Ohio State, then Penn State. We're gonna conference champs. You get your slot. But that's all you get, Big 12.
The next
it.
three in line are head scratching, and it's just total eye test. Next 3 in line.
Yeah.
Texas is 8-1. They have 0 top 25 wins, and their loss was against the good team that they played this year, Georgia. Penn State is number 4. They're 8-1 with 0 top 25 wins, and their loss was against the good team they played this year. Indiana's number 5. They're undefeated with 0 top 25 wins
Yeah, but
this
at least
year.
they're undefeated. I'll give them that.
Cool. BYU undefeated with 2 top 25 wins, and they are behind Indiana, Penn State, and Texas. And
the eye test, they almost lost.
They beat number 14, and then they beat by a wide margin number 20 in your rankings. And you've got them behind 3 teams that have 0 wins. Georgia's number 11, and the first team out, by the way, with 2 top 25 wins against number 17 Clemson and number 3 Texas. But they have 2 losses against the number 9 and number 10 teams in your rankings. But they're out of
Missouri,
play.
I think, has 2 top 28 wins.
There you go.
I just love that we're worrying about where they're seated and not them getting in or out. It's not like that.
Georgia maybe.
That's fine. It's Georgia.
You're out, Mick.